On the side of the black water poison pool, 4 extremely powerful ancient wasteland elders sat cross-legged in 4 different directions of the pool, eyes closed and waiting for something below to come up. It was because they believed that the young master of the ancient wasteland devil sect, Jiang Liguang, had been killed by this fellow under the pool. On the side of the black water poison pool, 4 extremely powerful ancient wasteland elders sat cross-legged in 4 different directions of the pool, eyes closed and waiting for something below to come up. It was because they believed that the young master of the ancient wasteland devil sect, Jiang Liguang, had been killed by this fellow under the pool. Chen Xiang had dived for more than half a day, but he still did not reach the bottom. This caused him to be shocked in his heart. If it wasn't for the profound wood diamond armor, if it wasn't for the impenetrable, it would be difficult for even an immortal to obtain the things left behind in the devil-suppressing heavenly venerable. This is not only the blood of the poison demon, I think there is also the blood of the poison dragon. Only when the 2 types of extremely powerful poisonous blood are mixed together would it be able to corrode the earth, causing the pool to become this deep. Long Shui said. After another 2 hours, Chen Xiang suddenly saw a faint light below him, which made him extremely happy. From the light, it looked extremely similar to the devil-suppressing holy power, and only the things refined in the devil-suppressing heavenly venerable had this light. Upon approaching, it made him gasp for breath, because he saw that everything around that thing was empty. The poisonous water actually could not get close, and this thing had been hidden deep within the poisonous pond for countless of years, yet its divine powers were still active. One must know that under this deep pool, the strong pressure was extremely terrifying. If Chen Xiang did not have the profound wood diamond armor's protection, he probably would have been crushed into pulp by this kind of strong pressure. It's an imprint. Long Shui's voice was shocked and he couldn't help but take a deep breath. Su Meiyao immediately exclaimed, "Devil-suppressing heavenly venerable's holy devil-suppressing seal is actually in this place. No wonder devil-suppressing divine palace has so many people contending for power all these years, so it's because they don't have the holy seal's firm authority." The holy devil-suppressing seal is a sacred object close to the devil-suppressing heavenly venerable, and even the devil-suppressing divine palace's demon-suppressing token would have to be sealed with this seal. As for how powerful it is unknown, because the devil-suppressing heavenly venerable has never used this seal in battle. Bai Yu said. The personal item of the devil-suppressing heavenly venerable was actually here. What was going on with the devil-suppressing heavenly venerable? The devil-suppressing heavenly venerable was an invincible existence in the heaven realm, respected and revered by billions of immortals, causing the expressions of the so-called demonic demons and evil gods to change. Currently, only his devil-suppressing divine palace and a portion of his incomplete subduing demon art remained, and he had already disappeared to who knows where. After sensing that Chen Xiang had arrived, she turned into a golden beam of light and entered Chen Xiang's body. She appeared in Chen Xiang's dantian, and floated above the 5-beast statue. Chen Xiang looked inside the holy devil-suppressing seal, and saw that the holy seal only had one word, subduing. Although it was only a single word, it was extremely imposing, and extremely vigorous, as though it was carved with peerless strength, as though it was carved with divine power, and finished everything in one go. But upon closer inspection, every stroke of this word contained countless profound spirit grain, as though it was a nature to call itself their own, densely packed within the word. It was actually like the sky, and within it were countless stars. At the same time this word was smoothly written, it was actually able to engrave so many profound and fine spirit grain at the same time. It was extremely natural, and didn't seem to be intentionally left behind. It had to be known that these profound spirit grain were comprehended by a few super geniuses in the ancient times after comprehending the Tao through looking at the heavens and merging into nature. They had been said down for countless years, and only today's large number of spirit grain were able to comprehend them. And the devil-suppressing heavenly venerable could easily draw out the outline of a naturally formed spirit grain, as if they were one with the world. Thinking about it, Chen Xiang's heart started to race. If one day, when he was refining pills, he could also leave behind these natural, powerful, and imbued Tao pattern on the surface of the pills, how powerful would the pills be? Spirit grain could form great formations, but great formations had many supreme abilities. They could suppress ancient demons, open profound realm, and teleport S.P.A.C. The devil-suppressing chi array in the demon-suppressing art was also made up of spirit grain. Amazing, as expected of a human, that my imperial dragon race would be wary of. Long Shui exclaimed. The holy devil-suppressing seal's entire body was pure gold, like a scorching sun. It seemed to have an endless amount of energy as it continuously spewed out golden light. Besides being able to approve a demon G.O.D token, what other uses does it have? Long Shui was extremely curious. He can also inherit the position as the Hall Master of the devil-suppressing Divine Palace, and is the one in charge of the Heaven Realm. However, if I use this seal in the Heaven Realm, I'm afraid that I will be killed. Chen Xiang sighed. Other than this, there are some things that can open the devil-suppressing Divine Palace, and can seal demons. Can I use it for a fight? Long Shui asked again. Of course you can, if it's the opposing demons. I can release them and pour them into the devil-suppressing holy power, causing the holy seal to grow bigger, and can directly suppress the demons to death. But I cannot use them as I wish. Chen Xiang was currently swimming upstream. There were still 4 ancient wasteland elders waiting for him to greet them, since they were all old people after all. He didn't want to make them wait for too long. That's right, this seal is stronger than devil-suppressing Mirror S. Devil-suppressing Mirror S may just be the creation of the devil-suppressing Heavenly Venerable against stronger demons. It doesn't have much of a mountain sea, but with enough devil-suppressing holy power, it will only be able to deal with demons with this seal. Its power is limitless. Bai Yu said in a cold tone. If not for the fact that Chen Xiang could hide the strength of the holy devil-suppressing seal as he wished, she would have felt very uncomfortable inside the ring. The reason the devil-suppressing Divine Palace above us has been fighting for so many years is all for the position of Palace Master. If they find out that there is a holy devil-suppressing seal, then it won't only be the devil-suppressing Divine Palace who will S.N.A.T.C. H.U. away. Su Meiyao chuckled. Chen Xiang obviously knew that even if he had this holy devil-suppressing seal, he wouldn't be able to become Palace Master. Ancient Wasteland Devil Sect, since you have issued the Devil God crest, I will now let you all know the price you have to pay. Chen Xiang laughed coldly and began to speed up his pace. However, the 4 elders of the ancient desolation world could sense that there was a bubble in the pool, and it was obvious that they were coming out. They immediately stood up, and just as they were about to move away from the pool, the black water in the pool suddenly sprayed out like a huge fountain, and turned into a poisonous rain that fell from the sky. All the trees within a radius of several kilometers withered instantly and were corroded by the black venom, releasing bursts of black venom. As for the 4 elders, they were poured with large amounts of venom and turned into white bones. All of this was caused by Chen Xiang using all of his strength to force a large amount of poisonous water out of the pond. At this moment, he was standing beside the pond looking at the 4 bones. He laughed. You all sitting next to the pond waiting for me is like waiting for your death. With that, Chen Xiang looked at the mausoleum. He formed seals with his hand to condense the ancient desolation Forbidden Land's spirit energy, activated his heavenly dragon seal, and directly destroyed the mausoleum. Then, he used his Luotian gate to travel across the S.P.A.C. and safely left the place. The ancient wasteland devil sect was once again shaken because the 4 elders that were sent out had all died, moreover, they died beside the mausoleum. After that, many of the disciples from the ancient Desolation sect had entered the mausoleum successively and were poisoned to death by the poison gas. The ancient Wasteland Devil sect was once again shaken because the 4 elders that were sent out had all died, moreover, they died beside the mausoleum. After that, many of the disciples from the ancient Desolation sect had entered the mausoleum successively and were poisoned to death by the poison gas. The 4 elders were all poisoned to death, and only their bones were left, but all of their ancestors' tombs were destroyed. This made the ancient Wasteland Devil sect extremely angry, but was unable to vent it out, and now, they had lost a peerless genius, Jiang Liguang, and then a few powerful elders, and in the end, even the ancestors' tombs were destroyed by others. But they did not know who did it. Chen Xiang was currently in a desolate plain, with a scorching sun above his head. He had no idea why, but after just one night, his body had unknowingly grown a lot stronger. It's over, this holy devil-suppressing seal is causing my innate qi and my fleshly body to improve crazily, even my soul is increasing rapidly, the nirvana doom is coming. Chen Xiang was overwhelmed with shock. At this moment, he had a very strange feeling that he was being stared at by something. No matter where he went, he would feel this kind of feeling. This kind of feeling was a sign that the nirvana doom was coming. Unless one hid inside the profound realm, it was impossible to avoid it. Don't worry, you have plenty of pills that can raise a person's bones and flesh. It's enough for you to deal with the first tribulation. Even without this lunatic's prediction, you can still pass it easily. Su Meiyao said. Chen Xiang still had time to return to the super-martial profound realm to find Huang Jintian, but this was equivalent to avoiding the nirvana doom. If he deliberately avoided the nirvana doom, then the power of the tribulation would be even stronger in the future. Beside the black pool, there were about 10 old men with white hair and full of wrinkles. They were waving flags and chanting an incantation. These were all people from the ancient Wasteland Devil sect and were summoning their souls because they could feel that the souls of the elders did not scatter. Although all of them were scattered, these elders had a way to see who had made such a crazy revenge against their ancient Wasteland Devil sect from the newly gathered souls. When Chen Xiang saw the elderly people being splashed with the poisonous blood, he thought that they had all lost their souls. He never thought that the ancient Wasteland Devil sect would have such a powerful technique. Suddenly, the 10 or so white-haired old men shouted in unison. Their voices were strange and sinister, causing one's hair to stand on end, as if they were ghosts from the underworld. A shadow of a dead elder suddenly appeared, but it was very unstable, like ripples in the water. It's Chen Xiang. Before I died, I saw him rush out of the lake. He deliberately used poison water to kill us. With that, the illusory image dissipated. A middle-aged man with an extraordinary temperament, tightly clenching his fists. Although he looked very calm, his anger had turned into terrifying waves of killing intent, roaring in the forbidden grounds, causing people to be afraid. This was the leader's leader, Jiang Tianlu. There is a remnant of the spatial energy here. Let's see if we can figure out where this person went from the remnant energy. An old man said. The person who killed Jiang Liguang, killed the 4 elders, and destroyed the ancestral tombs of their ancient Wasteland Devil sect was actually the Chen Xiang that was wanted by them after they issued the Devil God badge. This was really a huge ridicule, they did not even have the chance to touch his fur, yet they caused such heavy losses, and at this moment, everyone could see that this was Chen Xiang taking revenge on their ancient Wasteland Devil sect. Very quickly, the 10 elders, based on the Partic 1p, aiding spatial auras, deduced 3 locations. Ancient Wasteland Devil sect S. Jiang Tianlu immediately sent a large number of ancient Wasteland Devil sect rankers to surround and annihilate those 3 locations. After finding out that it was this brat, Chen Xiang, from the human realm who had stirred up such a huge commotion, The people from the demon realm were incomparably shocked. Not only was he not obediently staying in the mortal realm, he had even come to the demon realm, killing the genius from the ancient wasteland devil sect, using poison to kill 4 elders, and finally kicking down the tomb of the demon God's son. Such an earth-shattering action was unparalleled in the world, and had never been seen before. Chen Xiang still did not know his name before it spread to the entire demon realm, because he was currently smelting the energy within the holy devil-suppressing seal, preparing to go through tribulation. At this moment, he did not hide his tracks in the slightest, and sat on top of a small mountain with his eyes closed, cultivating with a peaceful expression. Right now, whoever came to find him was courting death, because he was preparing to go through the nirvana doom. When others were going through the tribulation, as long as one person was within the range of the nirvana doom, the power of the nirvana doom would increase by 1 generation, and even if it was the nirvana tribulation, the power would be extremely terrifying. Therefore, people who trained in nirvana doom would always look for some remote areas with very few people. If someone else entered the range of their nirvana doom, it would not be beneficial to anyone. At this moment, even Long Shui, Su Meiyao and the others did not dare to casually release their divine senses, as they had sealed them away. And in the distance, a disciple of an ancient wasteland devil sect saw Chen Xiang. He never would have thought that Chen Xiang would cultivate in this desolate place like this, instead of hiding properly. Chen Xiang was waiting here for his nirvana doom. If he succeeded, he would enter the nirvana realm. The disciples of the ancient wasteland devil sect immediately returned to report. The speculations of the 10-odd white-haired elders were extremely accurate, because some disciples of the ancient wasteland devil sect had already found Chen Xiang in the 3 regions. They had circled around to all directions to surround and attack Chen Xiang. They thought that with so many of them, they would be able to catch Chen Xiang alive. Ancient wasteland devil sect was a superpower in the demon realm, but now, the little demon realm kid they wanted to capture had come all the way here to slap their faces. They could only save their face by capturing Chen Xiang alive and executing him publicly, so most of the strong warriors in ancient wasteland devil sect were already here. The demon Gods were their religion, and this was the only way for them to cultivate the demon arts left behind by the demon Gods. If they didn't show piety to the demon Gods, they wouldn't be able to obtain their strength, and would instead die from cultivating those demon arts. Now that the devil God's son's mausoleum had been destroyed, the disciples of the ancient wasteland devil sect were extremely furious. No matter if they were strong or weak, they could not wait to drink Chen Xiang's flesh and blood and skin him alive. Jiang Tianlu made a hand gesture, and thousands of experts suddenly rushed towards Chen Xiang from all directions. In a few moments, Chen Xiang was surrounded by dozens of experts. Chen Xiang's expression immediately changed greatly. When he took out the Luotian gate, it was already too late, because the Nirvana Doom had already appeared. Chen Xiang's face was pale white. If over 1,000 people suddenly entered the range of his Nirvana Doom, then not only would his Nirvana Doom be over 1,000 times stronger, he would also not know how many times stronger. Even the 9th Nirvana realm was nothing much. Chen Xiang's face was pale white. If over 1,000 people suddenly entered the range of his Nirvana Doom, then not only would his Nirvana Doom be over 1,000 times stronger, he would also not know how many times stronger. Even the 9th Nirvana realm was nothing much. You idiots, your father's tribulation, even if you want to die, you better not come to your father. You are the one who got killed, you bastards. Now everyone is finished. Chen Xiang roared. In that instant, those experts who had experienced Nirvana Doom before all had deathly pale faces. Right now, they could not leave, because no matter how far away they were, they would always be targeted by the Nirvana Doom. More than half of the demon realm was trembling, alerting countless experts of the demon realm. They didn't know why such a commotion would occur. Jiang Tianlu's expression became incomparably ugly. He never thought that Chen Xiang would actually be crossing Nirvana Doom. If he had known earlier, even if he had 10 lives, he wouldn't dare to enter even if he had 100 guts. Even though it was only one person's Nirvana Doom, with so many people here, Nirvana Doom would make these people transcend the tribulation as well, because the people here were all Devil Cultivator-s who defied the will of the heavens, and these Devil Cultivator-s would commit many evil acts, be cold and cruel, and their Nirvana Doom would be even more terrifying. "Leader, kill him and the Nirvana Doom will disperse," someone shouted. Chen Xiang scolded loudly, "Bulls. Hi+T, if I die, and you all don't even have any hope of living, then I will truly have to cross the Nirvana Doom. At that time, half of the power of the tribulation will come at me, and if you kill us, you all will have to split the power equally." The ground trembled slightly as the SPAC within a radius of several tens of kilometers tightened. Even dozens of experts working together could not break through it. This was the power of the heavens and the power of nature, which no one could withstand. "Chen Xiang, you killed my son and—" Jiang Tianlu's words were suddenly interrupted by the furious Chen Xiang. "Give me back your sister. I'm going through a tribulation. Why are you guys joining in the excitement? If you don't want to live, then I'm going to die. If it wasn't for the fact that you issued that Bulls Hi+T Demon G.O.D. order to arrest me, I wouldn't even bother to dirty my hands to kill your son." Chen Xiang roared. "Come on, aren't you angry? Kill me, come." Jiang Tianlu was so angry that his entire body was trembling. He did not dare. If he killed Chen Xiang, his ancient wasteland devil sect would be done for, but if Chen Xiang died, the Nirvana Doom would definitely be leveled above their heads. These experts might be able to, but it was hard to say for those who had yet to experience Nirvana Doom. Right now they were incredibly frustrated. In order to chase after Chen Xiang, they actually had to cross Nirvana Doom, and those experts were the same. Crossing Nirvana Doom was a good thing, but that was only crossing their own Nirvana Doom. Haha! If I am lucky enough to not die from such a powerful heavenly tribulation, I should have obtained a lot of power of going against the heavens and successfully resisting such a strong heavenly energy. This is something that has never happened before. Let the tempest come strike even more violently. Chen Xiang stood on top of a small hill and laughed crazily. This made those people want to spit on his face. He was still scaring them even after acting like this, and those cowards had already weakened their legs. "Leader, move him to the side and stay away from him. At that time, the Nirvana Doom he will endure will be the strongest, and regardless of his life or death, the robbery power he suffers will not affect us," an elder said. Jiang Tianlu also had the same intention, so he walked towards Chen Xiang, who knew what they were going to do. "I don't need you to do anything, I will leave by myself," Chen Xiang said indifferently. The group of people in front of him all wanted to kill him, but they couldn't do anything now. Furthermore, they were still on the edge of death. Just then, another group of disciples from the ancient wasteland devil sect arrived through the transmission array and rushed in as fast as they could. There were actually over 1,000 people here. It was easy to get in, but difficult to get out. "You bunch of idiots, don't tell me you can't see the situation here." Jiang Tianlu almost vomited blood. More than 1,000 people's Nirvana Doom was already terrifying enough, but now it had increased by another 1,000. However, from afar, Chen Xiang's loud laughter resounded. "Haha, good come, good come. To be able to die together with so many disciples of the ancient wasteland devil sect I will definitely rest in peace." At this time, more than half of the Devil Realm's spirit energy had been drawn over Chen Xiang. After the disciples that just came in knew the details, their faces all turned green. The disciples that came in earlier all turned even more green. They really wanted to add oil to the fire and kill themselves. However, the calamity had already been decided. Even though Chen Xiang was alone, the might of his nirvana doom had not diminished at all. In the sky, rumbling sounds could be heard as the auras condensed together and collided with each other, creating waves of terrifying lightning. No one knew what Chen Xiang's first tribulation would be like, but it was still very terrifying. Jiang Tianlu's intestines turned green. He never thought that when he imped into Chen Xiang's nirvana doom, there would still be so many people who would be able to enter the range of his nirvana doom. Even if these strong people could survive, there were still many good seedlings that could not endure such a terrifying nirvana doom. On the other hand, Chen Xiang was extremely calm, because he had the profound wood diamond armor as his backing, and he also had the Yulong blood, so it would be difficult to kill him. He was only worried that the Yuyao ring would be destroyed, but that was still something created by a deity, so it shouldn't be destroyed that easily. Are they coming? Chen Xiang clenched his fists tightly, looking at the sky that was filled with energy. It was as though a demon could appear at any time. Feeling the destructive pressure, many disciples of ancient wasteland devil sect felt their legs go weak, and all the experts had ugly expressions on their faces. This was even stronger than the 8 tribulations they had faced. They only hoped that the majority of the robbery power would land on Chen Xiang. So if that happened, they would only be able to fight against a portion of the robbery power, and might still have a chance of survival. He's here. Chen Xiang sensed something and immediately ran towards the group of people. When the 2,000-odd people from the ancient wasteland devil sect saw someone running over, they started cursing and swearing. All sorts of vulgarities and curses rang out. Just as the nirvana doom was about to arrive, Chen Xiang was actually running towards them. Little bastard, what are you doing here? Jiang Tianlu panicked and roared. Since we are fated to meet here, we should go through thick and thin with each other and share the blessings bestowed upon us by the heavens. We should be able to work together to survive this peerless nirvana doom. Chen Xiang said with a smile. Fuck, there's fate, there's blessings from heaven. Chen Xiang is a disaster. Whoever approaches him will be in trouble. Jiang Tianlu and the other rankers had already taken action, but their nirvana doom had already descended. It was a multicolored flame that filled the sky, turning into various fierce beasts and rus. Ing down from the sky. The great nirvana tribulations had begun. All the experts of the ancient wasteland were shocked as they cursed Chen Xiang and rushed over at this time. They were obviously trying to lure the powerful robbery power into their bodies. The great nirvana tribulations had begun. All the experts of the ancient wasteland were shocked as they cursed Chen Xiang and rushed over at this time. They were obviously trying to lure the powerful robbery power into their bodies. Just as Jiang Tianlu was about to get far away from him, Chen Xiang's hand flashed like lightning as he firmly grabbed onto Jiang Tianlu's arm. He said with a smile on his face, "Ancient desolate leader, I can see that you have an extraordinary demeanor and auspicious light in your eyes. You won't have any misfortune today. A trifling first tribulation's robbery power won't be able to do anything to you." Jiang Tianlu shouted in anger, "Bulls. Hi+T, this old man has been struck with bad luck for 8 lifetimes. Little bastard, quickly let go of me, if not I will hack you to death with one palm." The robbery power that had been condensed in the sky for a while had turned into an endless sea of flames. Its imposing manner filled the entire sky, and like a dragon or a heavenly soldier, it slowly approached from the sky, creating a scorching pressure that instantly turned the weaker disciples into ashes. This was an earth-shattering fire tribulation, and what Chen Xiang was least afraid of was flames. Although he was currently unable to go to the Earth's core, his fire-resisting abilities were still incomparably strong, and there were very few people in the world who could match him. Ancient desolate leader, by the way, your son doesn't look like you at all. You don't even have 10% of your aura. Chen Xiang laughed, causing him to become completely furious. Using all his strength, he flung Chen Xiang flying. Just at that moment, the unparalleled fire calamity in the sky sensed Jiang Tianlu. The countless beast-shaped flames released roars, trampled on the air, and surged through, causing the sound to shake the ground as they rushed towards the people below. In the blink of an eye, the flames enveloped an area of a few miles around Chen Xiang. Endless flames burned crazily within, the beast-shaped flames violently surged, attacking everyone and causing the ground to shake violently. The entire land of tribulation, like a sea of fire, was engulfed in flames that reached the sky, like a raging sea of fire. Chen Xiang sat cross-legged on the ground, his entire body glowing. The reaction produced by the devil-suppressing holy power against the intense flames turned into a golden light, causing Chen Xiang to be like a golden god of war, invulnerable to fire, eternal and indestructible. Even though he had the heaven fire soul, he found it hard to endure. This was the flame of calamity, an existence akin to heavenly fire, and it was triggered by more than 2,000 people. If he had not approached Jiang Tianlu at the critical moment and lured a portion of the robbery power towards the group of ancient wasteland devil sect, the robbery power he was facing would have been even more intense. It was only the first tribulation, the primordial tribulation. Chen Xiang felt that he was extremely unlucky, and luckily it was a fire tribulation. The first wave of robbery power had only just begun, and it had already lasted for more than an hour. As for the true nirvana doom, it had only just begun. Chen Xiang raised his head and looked up. His eyes flashed with a gold light, as it penetrated through the sea of flames, only to see a huge golden ball appearing in the sky, like a golden sun, glowing with a piercing light. As the golden rays of sunlight became stronger and stronger, the flames in the sea of flames also became hotter and hotter, as if it could burn the earth to ashes. These flames are just the fire energy on the surface of the golden sun, but they are already so intense, even experts who have experienced 8 tribulations would have difficulty resisting them. If I hadn't tempered my body with the core fire, I'm afraid that it would have already turned into ashes. The great calamity caused by 2,000 people is indeed formidable. It was actually able to form a small golden sun. I'm afraid this golden sun is the true owner of the nirvana doom. Chen Xiang felt HI+ver in his heart. He had not released his profound wood diamond armor yet, and within the sea of flames, those beast-type flames were roaring. They were deafening, and it spread to all directions. Such a great calamity had shaken the entire continent. At this moment, the entire continent was like a steamer. The small golden sun hung high up in the sky, illuminating the entire continent. Several hundred kilometers away from the great calamity, many experts from the demon realm were floating in the sky as they gazed at the center of the great calamity. They were all shocked. Even when they were close to the source of the golden light, they could feel their bodies burning and their blood boiling. Is this the legendary 9th tribulation? He had gone all out to overcome the 8th tribulation and had been stuck for so many years, yet he had never dared to face the 9th tribulation. But now, this great tribulation before him made him feel as though it was even more formidable than the 9th tribulation. An old man shook his head and said, "It's not the 9th tribulation. I've seen the 9th tribulation, but it's still far from this." Everyone trembled as they were dumbstruck. The 9th calamity was actually far worse than this. It's just the beginning. Have you guys seen the 9th calamity where the disturbance can affect the whole of the new demon realm? The old man's face was full of seriousness. I think that someone might have accidentally traced said into someone else's nirvana realm and caused their nirvana doom to increase. Chen Xiang was currently in a miserable state. If not for the dozen or so experts of the ancient wasteland devil sect helping him to share most of the robbery power, he would have been turned into ashes by now. Finally, the flames in the sea of fire weakened, but this was only the end of the first wave of robbery power. The small golden sun hung high in the sky, condensed from the spirit energy of heaven and earth. Although it wasn't as fierce as the real sun, its power was astonishing. Hi+ing. It hung high in the sky, as big as a mountain. The blazing sun suddenly overflowed with a huge golden ball, enveloping a few dozen li of land. As it fell from the sky, the pressure spread in all directions and slowly fell. The land was struck by the intense fire energy, causing a big dent to appear in the ground. The people of ancient wasteland devil sect were almost dead, all of them burnt to ashes, their souls scattered, and only the strong warriors were left struggling to survive. This golden fireball had appeared from the golden sun. When the experts watching from afar saw this terrifying scene, their backs would Hi+ver even in such a hot environment. If they were pressured, they would most likely die. The golden fireball that spanned several dozen miles descended like a miniature flaming star. The heat it contained was also much greater, as if it was more destructive than the earth itself. Chen Xiang's expression became serious. This was the second wave of robbery power, and it was not only aimed at him, but the entire range of the robbery power. He and the other experts had to bear the same level of robbery power. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The golden fireball came Hi+ing down, causing a wave of roaring fire to spread out in all four directions. The area of several hundred miles was instantly covered by a sea of fire. The fire reached a height of over 100 zhang, and the area was originally desolate, but now, even more so, after being burned, the stone earth was turned into powder, causing the entire ground to sink down over 100 zhang. The flames that shot into the sky flickered with golden light, forming a mist that enveloped the horizon and covered the ground. It made people feel as if they were being tempered by a golden world of fire. Look, it's actually dozens of people. Oh my god, their brains must be filled with water. When an old man with sharp eyes saw this, he let out a sharp shout that did not match his appearance. Chen Xiang was covered in gold armor, and the gold helmet only revealed his face. At that moment, he had no choice but to release the profound wood diamond armor, or else he would have been burnt to ashes. Chen Xiang was covered in gold armor, and the gold helmet only revealed his face. At that moment, he had no choice but to release the profound wood diamond armor, or else he would have been burnt to ashes. Golden multicolored light covered his entire body, and his domineering aura towered over everyone. He appeared as mighty as a god as he blended into the golden mist. It was as if he was the master of this golden purgatory. It was Chen Xiang's first time releasing a profound wood diamond armor in front of so many people, and also his first time releasing a profound wood diamond armor, but he could still feel a threat. The golden sun in the sky once again exploded with golden clouds. The small golden sun once again produced a huge golden fireball that was dozens of miles wide as it fiercely smashed towards the ground. Chen Xiang clenched his teeth. The attacks were the same as before. Furthermore, he could tell that if Jin Yang did not exhaust all the energy, he would not stop there. He did not even know how many times he would have to endure such attacks, if not for ancient wasteland devil sect and the rest of the fool's Rus. Hi+ing in, he would have long said through Nirvana doom. Chen Xiang glanced at the ancient wasteland devil sect rankers. Although they were in a sorry state, their vitality and blood were extremely powerful, and he could tell that the golden fireball did not cause them any harm. Furthermore, even though Chen Xiang was wearing the profound wood diamond armor, he could not feel comfortable. Ryuwumbumble. The golden fireball fell straight down, like the sun setting. It ignited the golden fire once again, and this time it was even more terrifying than before. The golden fireball swept across a radius of 1,000 miles, and wherever it went, the stone earth was turned into dust, and the tall mountains were instantly flattened. This kind of delay power caused the watching experts to be extremely shocked, and they had no choice but to retreat a little further, or else even they would be affected. The profound wood diamond armor and profound wood cover hood were 2 layers of protection, but the profound wood cover hood could only hold for a few seconds before it completely crumbled. It could be seen how powerful this unparalleled calamity was, as if it wanted to kill everyone within the boundaries of the robbery power ruthlessly and violently. Fighting against the heavens, going against the heavens, 9 heavenly tribulations, blocking the path to immortality. Since ancient times, countless heroes had their origins soul destroyed by the 9 nirvana tribulations and died without a burial, but still couldn't stop the people from becoming immortals. Chen Xiang exhaled a breath of golden mist. The incomparable power of the fire had penetrated through the divine armor and burned his body. Although the Heaven Fire Soul were trying their best to counterattack, they were still unable to resist. After all, Chen Xiang's cultivation was still very low, and his strength was limited. However, Chen Xiang was able to circulate his mystical technique and refine the golden fire energy into his body. He could use the Fire God method to nourish the fire energy and nurture the fire soul inside his flesh. His body was burnt, his injuries were severe, and his blood was close to boiling up and turning, but at the critical moment, the Yulong blood activated. Following the rotation of the Taiji Yin and Yang map in his dantian, it flowed through his bones and limbs, allowing the parts that were severely injured to slowly heal. In just a short moment, Chen Xiang's body had actually healed and reached its peak condition. No wonder Long Shui had said that there would be countless dragons and women in the imperial dragon race that would throw themselves at the Jade Dragon. As long as one possessed such an immortal bloodline, it was only a matter of time before they would coexist with the heavens. At this time, Long Shui, Su Meiyao and the others had already sealed their spirit sense and completely lost contact with the outside world inside the Dark Dragon Ring. They were worried that it would affect Chen Xiang's tribulation, so they didn't know that Chen Xiang was currently facing an unparalleled tribulation. Little B, A-S-T-A-R-D, what are you doing here? Jiang Tianlu shouted in anger. Although he did not receive any injuries, it was just the beginning, yet he was already so terrifying. He was already much stronger than he was at the beginning of the 8th heavenly tribulation. Bah! If it wasn't for your brains, I would have already been through this long ago. Why did you drag me along when you wanted to die? Chen Xiang rushed over. The experts of the ancient wasteland devil sect were all extremely strong. If they fought against the Great Tribulation together, the damage they would receive would be minimized. Chen Xiang obviously wanted them to share some of the pressure. You Wisconsin H. Plus, aren't you afraid that I'll kill you? Jiang Tianlu did not despair at the moment. Although the golden sun in the sky was terrifying, it was not concentrated enough, so when all the experts joined hands, there was still hope for them to survive. However, all the powerful young geniuses of ancient wasteland devil sect had all disappeared. The experts of ancient wasteland devil sect were also extremely shocked by Chen Xiang's power. Some of them couldn't even withstand the 1st or 2nd nirvana tribulation, yet Chen Xiang still ran over to rub their heads with a smile on his face. Come if you dare. If I die, all of you might be done for. Try if you don't believe me. Chen Xiang held his head up high and stuck his chest out while his divine armor shone with a multicolored light, causing the experts of the ancient wasteland devil sect to feel extremely envious. Of course they could tell that the reason Chen Xiang had been able to live until now was all because of his golden armor. They really did not dare to kill Chen Xiang. Who knew how this great calamity would continue after they killed him? Now that they had the confidence to survive, they naturally didn't want to create unnecessary trouble. Boom! 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 The golden sun brewed the robbery power, and used a lot of time to release another huge golden fireball. Only this time, the inside of the golden fireball was filled with red light, as if it was filled with red blood. Attack! Jiang Tianlu bellowed, both hands raised up, and a burst of berserk black qi leaked out from his body. His hands were surrounded by dense black chi, suddenly transforming into a pair of gigantic demon claws with black scales, pouncing on his head. The other experts from the ancient desolation world also unleashed their own devilish fiends. They used all their strength to defend themselves from the power of the heavens. This golden-red ball of flame was incomparably violent at the moment, and was much stronger than the previous two. Chen Xiang was greatly startled, and without batting an eyelid, he arrived beside Jiang Tianlu, standing under the dense and terrifying pair of gigantic devil claws. Jiang Tianlu was furious. The little kid in front of him, who had killed his ancient wasteland genius, destroyed his ancient wasteland mausoleum, poisoned 4 elders, and now 2,000 important disciples had died because of him. He even had the cheek to come and seek shelter here. Jiang Tianlu wished he could kick Chen Xiang into the huge fireball that was pressing down. Don't get distracted, this time you guys are much stronger than the last 2 times. Endure it, I believe that you guys will definitely be able to help me to survive this unparalleled tribulation. At that time we will be famous across the world, Chen Xiang said with a serious face. Chen Xiang shamelessly hid beside others and watched the fireball being pressed down. Then, he used his divine arts to refine the intense flames that invaded his body. Bang! 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 This time, the fire was even more intense, and some of the weaker experts from the ancient desolation lost their lives in a flash, and a large piece of land once again sank, but at this moment they did not feel like they were in the depths, because they had a radius of 1,000 miles and were all sinking, so they naturally did not feel it. Chen Xiang noticed that as he complained in his heart, because this golden sun was still extremely huge, from the looks of it, if he wanted to use up all his energy, he would need to endure countless of attacks from the Fireb.A.L.L.S. Table of Contents. Chen Xiang noticed that as he complained in his heart, because this golden sun was still extremely huge, from the looks of it, if he wanted to use up all his energy, he would need to endure countless of attacks from the Fireb. A.L.L.S. A table of contents. Under Jiang Tianlu's protection, Chen Xiang was completely safe and sound, causing Jiang Tianlu to nearly explode from anger. It was because he did not expect that he was actually helping ancient wasteland devil sect's #1 enemy. Even if they could survive, ancient wasteland devil sect's strength would definitely be greatly reduced, and all of this was because of Chen Xiang. Why are you looking at me? Concentrating, the next wave is about to begin. Chen Xiang saw Jiang Tianlu glaring at him, and anxiously said, I wish I could kill you right now. I don't need you to teach me. I'm more experienced at transcending tribulation than you are. Jiang Tianlu's eyes were blazing with anger as he roared. Then I'll have to trouble you. I think I'll be able to survive until the end. Chen Xiang laughed. At the moment, he could still laugh, which made Jiang Tianlu even angrier. A wave of robbery power surged, and many gigantic golden Fireb. A.L.L. S seemingly never stopped, continuously SMAs. H.I. plussing down as though they were going to break the earth. One day Paas said, yet it was not over yet. However, that golden sun was a lot smaller. However, the heavenly might it contained was still terrifying. The thing that Chen Xiang admired the most were the warriors who had endured the 8 tribulations of nirvana. If they were to face them fair and square, Chen Xiang would just be an ant to them. Right now, there were only 25 rankers in the ancient wasteland devil sect, and the rest had already died. Chen Xiang now understood why so many rankers in the nirvana stage did not dare to face nirvana doom, because this was simply too terrifying. Chen Xiang had to rely on Jiang Tianlu and the profound wood diamond armor to survive until now, otherwise, he would have died a long time ago. Even if he had a Yulong blood, if he did not rely on any external object to withstand this enormous golden fireball, he would instantly disappear from this world. After another day had Paas said, the golden sun in the sky was only as big as a fist, and all the experts of the ancient wasteland were finally relieved. although they were very sullen, but to be able to survive in this kind of great calamity, it made them very excited. Fortunately, this great calamity was not aimed at them, but at their own strength. He had previously hidden beside them and praised them as brothers and brothers, praising their might and might. He had praised them to the heavens, but when he saw that the great calamity was about to end, he had changed his face. However, they all thought that Chen Xiang was dead for sure, and even if they survived, they would not let him escape. The golden sun that was as big as a fist suddenly trembled. Even though it had become small, its heavenly might was still overwhelming. The multicolored light was so bright that it was actually able to form a huge golden fireball that once again smashed towards the land of tribulation. In the end, that group of people that do not care for their lives actually gathered together to undergo the heavenly tribulation. No one has dared to do something like that for the past 10,000 years, right? But they are truly powerful. The spectators in the distance said. For the past 2 days, they had been attentively watching this world-shaking calamity. It's going to end soon. No matter what, this group of people will become famous no matter what. Although there aren't many left. They were all far away, so they couldn't see what kind of people were below the caved-in ground. The robbery power released by the golden sun created a huge crater with a width of 1,000 miles. If all of this energy was concentrated on one person, perhaps even the deities would have to admit defeat. Another wave of robbery power had said, but the spatial seal was still present. There was still a golden light flash. +ing in the sky, and that golden sun was only as big as a bean. It's time. Like a beam of light, Chen Xiang suddenly shot towards the sky at an extremely fast speed. He immediately opened his mouth and activated devouring magic kung fu, swallowing the golden sun that was only the size of a pea. The last robbery power was actually swallowed up by Chen Xiang. Soon enough, they thought of something. That bright sun the size of a bean should be the seed of that golden sun, that heaven-destroying golden sun should be the seed's creation. At that moment it could be said that they had no more energy left. That was a peerless fire seed, a super precious treasure. Kid that killed over 1,000 blades, daring to even eat the fire seed condensed from the might of the heavens. Jiang Tianlu scolded. Leader, that's a good item. It should be a fire soul that is condensed from crystals. An elder said. At this moment, they could feel the spatial force around them dissipating. They all let out sighs of relief. They had survived, but there were only 25 of them. After consuming the fire seed, Chen Xiang only felt that his dantian was extremely hot. He was currently channeling Fire G.O.D method, trying to refine the heaven fire seed, so that he could fuse it with his heaven fire soul. One must know that this fire seed was nurtured by a fire tribulation that only grew out of 2,000 people. It was birthed from heaven power. It was so precious that Chen Xiang suspected that it would be able to release the heaven flame in the future. Give me Chen Xiang's life. Although he was already very tired, he had more than enough to kill Chen Xiang, not to mention the fact that they had more than 20 people. Chen Xiang was extremely calm. Just as he took out the Luotian gate, a gold light suddenly scattered down from the sky, enveloping Jiang Tianlu and the rest. This is... what's going on with them ascending? Chen Xiang was extremely shocked as he watched the ancient desolation realm rankers soar into the sky. The experts in the distance wanted to go over, but seeing this scene, they were all as shocked as stone statues. This was the first time they saw such a scene, where the sun had risen in the sky, allowing them to fly to the heaven realm and the devil realm to the heavenly demon realm. This caused the experts who were watching to yearn for it, and although they had lived for a long time, this was the first time they had seen such a scene. Although Chen Xiang could not understand why they had suddenly ascended, he felt that it had to do with the great calamity that had happened earlier. He immediately waved his hands at the experts that had ascended into the air and smiled. Don't thank me. Ha ha. Don't look at me like that, you are about to ascend to the heavenly demon realm. What a great honor, what a great glory, you have successfully said through the ninth tribulation. You should be happy, right? No need to thank me. This is all your own effort. I just wish you two a helping hand. They then joined hands and risked their lives to survive the great calamity. Now, they did not know why they had ascended again, but their enemy had not died, and he was still laughing at them. Furthermore, their ancient wasteland devil sect had many things that he had not arranged well, and had lost many experts. Although flying was a good thing, they were feeling happy, angry and worried at the same time. Their emotions were complicated, especially when they saw Chen Xiang waving and laughing at them, with his mouth spouting a bunch of bulls. H.I.+T to provoke them. They were so angry that they almost wanted to smack Chen Xiang into a meat patty, but they were sucked into the air by the strange energy and were unable to move. Chen Xiang could sense that there were many strong warriors in the distance. Without saying a word, he took out the Luotian gate, opened a spatial door, and teleported to a safe place. Chen Xiang had said through the Nirvana Doom, but had yet to begin the Nirvana stage. At this moment, however, he had a slight subtle feeling, as if he could clearly feel the world around him. Chen Xiang had said through the Nirvana Doom, but had yet to begin the Nirvana stage. At this moment, however, he had a slight subtle feeling, as if he could clearly feel the world around him. At this moment, he was in the belly of the mountain, smelting the fire calamity seed that he had devoured and fusing it with the nirvana chi that he had obtained after his breakthrough. Using this energy to refine his body, refine his soul, and strengthen his soul would take a very long time. After sing through the Nirvana Doom, the entire devil realm was shaken because the ancient wasteland devil sect's foundation had been greatly affected, and almost all of the strong cultivators had flown up, while the strong warriors of the young generation had all been annihilated in the Great Tribulation. In the entire ancient wasteland devil sect, there were only a few elders who were at the brink of death, who could hold on, but facing against a strong power like the devil race, they were basically unable to withstand a single blow. Inside the belly of the mountain where Chen Xiang was, golden rays of light flashed and green lightning struck out in waves like a raging sea. The power he received right now was extremely terrifying, as he had endured a great tribulation after all. A large amount of innate chi poured into his dantian, and his dantian was like a bottomless pit, where no matter how many innate chi there was, he could swallow them all. The 5 beast statues, even though they were so dim that they looked like illusions at the moment, were extremely majestic. They gave off a majestic atmosphere, and they emitted an ancient aura of an primordial divine beast, making one feel as if they were from an eternal being. At this moment, the endless innate chi were all Hi+ing into the 5 beast statues, lighting up the vast star ocean inside, and even though Chen Xiang had already lit up over 1,000,000 genuine granules, they were still just the tip of the iceberg. Chen Xiang now realized that his cultivation would be a bottomless pit, and he might be able to fill it up with medicinal pellets in the early stages, but in the later stages, it would be even more difficult. The people who trained in the Taiji Dragon suppressed Kung Fu. He had no idea what variables would form in the later stages, which was why Huang Jintian was always worried. How much nirvana power will I receive this time? Chen Xiang thought every time he broke through, he would be able to obtain a large amount of innate chi, create those genuine granule, compress them and activate them. In the future, he could store a large amount of innate chi and his recovery speed would also be very fast. As for the changes that would happen to his flame in the future, he did not know either. This was because it was rare to see such a seed appear once, so even if there was one, only he would dare to absorb it into his body to refine it. A vast power that was like the sea fused into his body. His physical body and soul were being washed away by this power and were becoming stronger. He had been reborn and reborn. Inside his dantian, a large number of genuine granule frantically lit up, and were being opened up by the influx of energy, filling the pure innate qi. When Chen Xiang refined the power of giving, his body was accompanied by a strange phenomenon. Initially, it was only 9 green dragon formed from green spirit energy that lingered around his body, but then it was the 2 vermilion bird formed from raging flames that hovered above his head. On his chest, there was a mighty white tiger head that was flickering with a murderous aura, and a 3-headed leather-armored tortoise appeared below him. Did not know that such a phenomenon had appeared. He was only circulating the divine arts and mental cultivation methods that he had learned. At that moment, all the divine arts and mental cultivation techniques seemed to have merged into one, as though flowing clouds and flowing water could be seen while he was channeling his spirit, and his lips moved slightly as he chanted some mental cultivation techniques, converging them into a profound scripture. There was no conflict at all. It was as if they had originally been one, and there was a huge change that had occurred to Chen Xiang's body. Unknowingly, they had fused with the world, and these divine arts and mental cultivation methods were all created by the great primordial beasts through comprehending the heavens and earth. Just like how this many divine arts, through Chen Xiang's body, merged with the heaven and earth, these divine arts were originally created by comprehending the heavens and the earth. Now that they were connected to the heaven and earth, they naturally merged into one. The strange scene of the 4 accompanying bodies had already disappeared, and a set of Taiji Yin and Yang Map S were seated below Chen Xiang. Spiritual energy surged into the primal chaos diagram and turned into a strange and holy divine light that entered Chen Xiang's body. What's going on? Has the Yin and Yang God blood finally revealed its abnormality? Su Meiyao said in a serious tone. Right now, he is merging with the heavens and the earth. All of the divine arts that he is learning are using this opportunity to fuse together. Who knows? Perhaps they can be combined into an exceptional divine technique. Long Xue exclaimed. His scripture is too profound, even I can't understand it. This phenomenon continued for a month before Chen Xiang woke up. At this time, his tens of thousands of genuine granules had lit up, each of them possessing 2 million, which was 9 times more than the amount he had before. At this moment, he felt as if he possessed the power to destroy the heavens and earth. Hey, what happened? When you combined those sacred arts into one, and started circulating it, a phenomenon occurred. Long Xue asked curiously. What? How come I didn't know? Chen Xiang stared blankly. He indeed did not know that during this period of time, he was only focused on his cultivation and did not detect any accidents. What kind of fusion did you manage to achieve with those mystical skills? Long Xue asked. Su Meiyao's voice was charming and sweet, like the voice of a fairy. She smiled and said, Xue, first let my little man put on his clothes, then we can ask. When Chen Xiang was training, especially when he absorbed the fire calamity seed, his clothes were already turned into ashes. It's impossible for him to merge those mystical arts and mental cultivation methods so quickly. Those mystical arts and mental cultivation methods were created by those heavyweights after many years of comprehending the great Tao of heaven and earth. It's impossible for him to understand and merge them together within a short month. Bai Yuyu's voice was indifferent, and her tone was ice-cold, but one could hear that she was somewhat excited. She was very excited when Chen Xiang stepped into Nirvana stage, and the power he had gained from stepping into Nirvana was more than what she and Su Meiyao had gained all those years ago. The Super Martial School did not have many disciples at the moment, and most of them went outside of the Great Devil Mountains, guarding the place. The other large sects were also like that, they would not allow the demons to step into the mortal world. In this period of time, the demons and monsters had killed dozens of times, and millions of them had been blocked by the disciples of the various big sects in the human realm and rogue cultivators outside of Great Devil Mountains. At this time, the beautiful green source was already filled with blood, and the violent demon Chi soared to the sky. There were also other continents that fell to the ground and were being Ma'as, sacred by the demon and devil realms demons. This was a tragic sight and death, and was also the most troublesome thing to deal with, because the various great continents could not even protect themselves and could not spare the energy to help others. However, a piece of good news gave many of the weaker continents a chance at survival. This was because in this new world, some ancient families called the Tong Tian aristocratic family had suddenly appeared. Inside Super Dan Imperial College, Chun Xiang looked at his own white and tender skin that was as white as jade in a mirror. He did not expect that after nirvana, not only would his skin become as fine as jade, it had even become much younger, as if he was a 17 or 18-year-old youngster. Inside Super Dan Imperial College, Chun Xiang looked at his own white and tender skin that was as white as jade in a mirror. He did not expect that after nirvana, not only would his skin become as fine as jade, it had even become much younger, as if he was a 17 or 18-year-old youngster. Hee. A table of contents. My young man has become young. Su Meiyao charmingly laughed. Her voice was able to make one's bones go soft, with an endless amount of charm. Those ambiguous and provocative words caused Chun Xiang's heart to thump. Beneath his snow-white clothes, there was a perfect and robust body. When he was bathing, Su Meiyao couldn't help but stroke his perfect nirvana realm body lovingly, from inside the netherworld Adumbra flower's embrace, while bathing with him. Chun Xiang never thought that one day, his body would also be infatuated with such a woman. Although he and Su Meiyao played around in the naked bathtub, hugging and kissing, he could not get past that last taboo. Because Su Meiyao had not recovered from his injuries yet, he could only treat it as a form of training. Su Meiyao's body was sparkling and translucent, her enchanting eyes were all over, her charming smile like a flower, although her entire body seemed to exude a seductive charm, but she still had blee temperament that did not allow anyone to lose their souls, and at this moment, Chun Xiang hugging such a beauty made him feel a great sense of accomplishment. The Tong Tian aristocratic family is indeed powerful. Just by sending out a small team, he was able to sweep away all the demons from a continent. In just 3 days, he managed to kill 10 million of them and blasted 3 continents apart with his unparalleled power. Chun Xiang was drinking alone in the tavern, and when he heard the news, he was extremely shocked. The so-called Tong Tian aristocratic family was said to have existed since the birth of the world. It possessed the power to transcend the heavens, and the bodies that cultivated it were incomparably strong. They were able to open up the profound realm, Pa-S, through the supreme formation and absorb immortal Qi the next day. Every single Tong Tian aristocratic family was incomparably powerful, and their profound realm had many different kinds of rare and precious herbs. The powerful alchemists, artificers, and formation masters were never lacking in them, so their overall strength was extremely terrifying. But even so, their strength was still limited, because there were a large number of demons, which steadily flowed out. They only had 10 Tong Tian aristocratic family S, which was simply too busy for them to handle. Tong Tian aristocratic family is really that powerful? Chun Xiang muttered to himself. The man at the next table said, "Very powerful, I saw it with my own eyes. They are just a small team of a few dozen people, and they can help resolve the crisis of a continent. However, they have their conditions, so I don't know what benefits they will get from helping these continents." The Tong Tian aristocratic family are all very ancient families, but we don't have the mortal martial realm. The profound realm they established are all in other worlds, and I heard that these families have all experienced the Great War between 3 realms a few times. Chun Xiang sucked in a cold breath. There were several times Great War between 3 realms. which meant that they had existed for tens of thousands of years, and they had actually existed for such a long time. In other words, humans had already existed a long time ago, but because of the existence of great war between three realms they would decline every 100,000 years. These Tong Tian aristocratic family have only appeared until now, and I can see that they are plundering a large amount of resources. Could it be that something huge is going to happen? A person exclaimed. I don't know, but the New World is currently divided into 5 regions. In the north, south, east, and west, every region has 2 Tong Tian aristocratic families, and the area that our mortal martial realm resides in is the south. I went to the continent that the Tong Tian aristocratic family was on, and I heard that after the birth of the New World, there would be a storm that would cause the continents to move, and then all the continents would collide with each other, forming a huge land. I came from the central region. I also heard that the demon and devil realms will integrate with all the continents in the mortal realm. What is formed will be a true new world. The sky hasn't changed, the ground has changed, and they are all class HI+ing together. When the time comes, there will be a good show, and of the super martial school will be safe, guarded by an old madman. Chen Xiang almost spat out the alcohol when he heard this. Now he understood why the Heaven Door City had expanded and even gathered people from multiple continents to this place. Originally, they had taken refuge here, although Huang Jintian had not revealed himself before, but his fame had already spread throughout the entire New World. Could it be that the world is about to break through? Long Shui muttered. Breakthrough in the world? Chen Xiang asked curiously. Long Shui answered with a N sound. Just like us, the world is also cultivating. Maybe it's already at large success, maybe the entire world will evolve and we will be able to enter the middle rank. The world can also cultivate. Chen Xiang's mouth twitched. Why can't the world cultivate? The sand in the flowers and plants are all part of a different world. Those precious ores and rare elixirs were all evolved from their large success in their cultivation. The same goes for the world. Long Shui snorted. Bai Yu said, if that's really the case, then everyone who can survive will benefit. Once the world stabilizes, maybe they can even contain immortals. But there's also a drawback. Su Meiyao said, if it's really as Shui said, then it will be difficult to travel through the void. The SPAC will become stable and it will be difficult to open. Chen Xiang started to worry. His Luotian gate was his trump card. If he couldn't use it, then it would be troublesome when he ran for his life in the future. Could it be that the Tong Tian aristocratic family is going to rule this new world? They are now repelling the demons, and have set some conditions for those powers on those continents, perhaps to have those continents serve them. Someone guessed. For a new world to be born, it was akin to becoming an emperor. How glorious would that be? These people only desired to stir up trouble, so one of them chuckled and said, if that's the case, then there's something to watch, for a force like the Super Martial School, if they are not loyal, and fight with the Tong Tian aristocratic family, and the old lunatic appears, ha. Chen Xiang really wanted to go over and clap his hands twice, come here to seek shelter, and even say such words. After he had matured, he became much younger, and was much different from the portraits that wanted to capture him. Only acquaintances would be able to recognize him. That old lunatic's disciple is quite powerful. He used to be the strongest cultivator in the mortal martial realm, but there hasn't been any news of him recently. It was all because of his master's Taiji dragon-suppressed kung fu that he was able to achieve what he is today. Any one of those youths from the Tong Tian aristocratic family would be able to kill him with a single palm. Isn't it just a playboy with a bit of apothecary talent who knows the divine arts? Even if we don't talk about Tong Tian aristocratic family, I can kill him with a single palm. I'm afraid that it's just because his master is powerful. A middle-aged man said with a sneer. Seeing that he was dressed extravagantly and had a stable aura, with the demeanor of an expert, everyone began to believe him. Chen Xiang frowned. If this old man said that he wanted to kill him with a smack, he would admit it. However, this kind of braggart made him feel extremely unhappy. Chen Xiang was just unhappy and did not make any movements. Chen Xiang was just unhappy and did not make any movements. Chen Xiang is still very strong in the Chen martial continent. He is the #1 pill refiner, the strongest warrior among the young, and many of the big shots are on good terms with him. I think it would be difficult for the disciples of the Tong Tian aristocratic family to compete with him. One of them retorted. Bulls. Hi+T, the disciples of the Tong Tian aristocratic family are all from ancient times, they are strong, how can he compare to them? The middle-aged man sneered. If he was in front of me, I would have immediately stepped on him. Of course, the condition is that his master didn't do anything to me. Those giants have a good relations, Hi+P with him mostly because of his master. A few people nodded in agreement. They thought that Chen Xiang was only SOSO, but people were people who had never seen Chen Xiang's might before. Chen Xiang took a small breath and said lightly, "My master won't do anything to you, come over here and stomp on me." His voice was calm, yet it carried with it an archaic power. His voice seemed to come from an ancient era, causing one's heart to tremble. Just a few simple words from him was enough to cause the entire restaurant to quieten down. After he finished this sentence, there was a formless ripple, causing the water in everyone's goblets to slightly tremble. Everyone looked towards the source of the voice and saw a youth in white clothes. He seemed to have seen through the mundane world as he elegantly sat there, tasting fine wine. It was hard to imagine that the one who spoke was actually him. From his words, everyone could tell that he was Chen Xiang. This was Super Martial School's territory, it was natural for Chen Xiang to be here. It's just a bluff, don't think that you can fool people just like that. Although you say that, if I injure you, I know that I won't be able to leave either. However, that doesn't mean I'm weaker than you. That middle-aged man said disdainfully, not at all afraid of others. Chen Xiang stood up, slowly walked over, and said with a smile, "You must be from the Tong Tian aristocratic family." After saying that, the middle-aged man's face immediately changed. He snorted, "So what? Could it be that there is some rule that the people of the Tong Tian aristocratic family are not allowed to enter here?" Everyone was shocked. Now they knew why the middle-aged man kept spouting nonsense. He was from the Tong Tian aristocratic family, which meant he had some confidence. No one would have thought that the legendary Chen Xiang would actually be this young, and looked like a young man. But everyone could imagine that it was because of cultivation that the leader could make people return to their youth, and he seemed to be just a young man in his 20s. "It's nothing. I just heard that someone can beat me to death with a single palm. I just wanted to broaden my horizons. Please enlighten me," Chen Xiang said in a bland voice. He also wanted to see what methods the Tong Tian aristocratic family had to be so arrogant. "It would be better for you to go to the city that belongs to our family. However, I won't kill you with my palm, at most I will just cripple you and throw you into the transmission array, where you can crawl back to Super Martial School." See. Everyone took a deep breath. The people of Tong Tian aristocratic family were too arrogant, they actually dared to say such words. Chen Xiang laughed heartily, "Rest A.S. Assured, once I get to your territory, I will definitely not be afraid of your Tong Tian aristocratic family. I will make a bold move and cripple you, then drag you back here, to hang you right at his doorstep. Let's see what the person who threatened to kill me looks like." Everyone was stunned again. "Young man, don't be too arrogant, anyone can talk big." The middle-aged man's face distorted and he stood up. Chen Xiang laughed coldly. "Don't be too arrogant, all the people who were acting so arrogantly in front of me are already dead. Let's go." The middle-aged man truly did not dare make a move here, but Chen Xiang actually dared to go to their Tong Tian aristocratic family's territory, causing them all to admire him. Upon hearing this news, they all followed along, squeezed into the transmission array and teleported to the ancient Tide continent. This was originally the central continent of a world. Although it wasn't as big as the continent of the king, it was still extremely prosperous. The city that Chen Xiang appeared in had a long history. Feng Zhenyun, what are you doing? Seeing a group of people walking over, the city lord of the city walked over and asked. The middle-aged man who had threatened to kill Chen Xiang with a single slap was called Feng Zhenyun, a disciple of Tong Tian aristocratic family. Feng Zhenyun looked at Chen Xiang with disdain. The genius of Chen martial continent doesn't believe that he could be killed with a single palm, so please enlighten me. Chen Xiang added, and laughed. He was worried that my master would make a move against him, so he invited me to his territory to spar with him. When the surrounding people heard this, they were all shocked. There was actually someone who dared to challenge the disciples of Tong Tian aristocratic family, and that person was even going to someone else's territory. The people of the Tong Tian aristocratic family are truly cowardly. They speak so big words, but they don't dare to make a move on someone else's territory. They even let them come to their territory. That's right, this Chen Xiang who was previously offered a 10 billion bounty truly has guts to actually dare to come. Now we can broaden our horizons and see just how strong this man Feng Yun is. A few people who supported the Tong Tian aristocratic family did not think so. The Tong Tian aristocratic family has a lot of reserves, and possesses many martial arts that are comparable to the Taiji dragon-suppressed Kung Fu. Every family has several Dan King S as their leader, and there are even more high-ranking alchemist S. That's right. It's said that the disciples of the Tong Tian aristocratic family are all brought along with them by Relive Dan. After all, this was the first time that the Tong Tian aristocratic family had fought with someone from another sect in the past month of their existence. This caused a huge ruckus, and even the old fellows of the city came, but there were still disciples of the Tong Tian aristocratic family on the scene. Is this the person who was once offered a bounty of 10 billion by the Dongfang family? Furthermore, he is even the friend of the Super Martial School's Kailan Thunder Eagle. What is his actual strength? Feng Zhenyun is just a side branch of my Tong Tian aristocratic family, but his strength is much stronger than many so-called young experts. A disciple of the Feng clan laughed coldly, surprising everyone. With a wave of his hand, Feng Zhenyun could release a wave of extraordinary qi. The innate qi was extremely pure. With a single glance, one could tell that it was the style of A.N.O. Bli, a mere side branch. This caused everyone to look at the blue-clothed disciples of Feng clan. They were the real disciples of Feng clan, so wouldn't their strength be even more terrifying? Feng Zhenyun's thunderous voice shook the entire city as his fists released a blue glow. Waves of qi surged out from his fists, and the amount of energy was extremely vast, as though it could smash a huge mountain. Although the Feng clan's wind cloud fist is not orthodox, it is still very tyrannical. The city lord exclaimed. Feng Zhenyun's body was like the wind. His footsteps were extremely strange. He flashed left and right in the blink of an eye. He was already in front of Chen Xiang. Feng clan's wind cloud fist was extremely powerful. Once it was unleashed, the sky and earth changed as the wind and clouds surged. The gale turned into a blade, and with a flash of multicolored light, it enveloped Chen Xiang from all directions. Feng clan's wind cloud fist was extremely powerful. Once it was unleashed, the sky and earth changed as the wind and clouds surged. The gale turned into a blade, and with a flash of multicolored light, it enveloped Chen Xiang from all directions. Who was Chen Xiang? He possessed peerless divine arts, and had birthed a strong dragon power. At this moment, he had already transformed into a new person and had transcended the mortal world. He could no longer be considered an ordinary person and had already stepped on the heaven-defying path, from the time of his tribulation. Once the dragon power was released, who could fight against it? Chen Xiang's palm shot out a dragon power that was as vast as the ocean, causing S.P.A.C. to tremble. The force of the wind cloud fist was immediately shattered, but Chen Xiang's fist force still swept through everything. The white aura was like a dragon, its might like a hot knife through but as it struck towards Feng Zhenyun's head. Feng Zhenyun indeed had a bit of strength. At the critical moment, he released a huge bronze S.H.I.+ELD in front of him to block, and when the dragon fist force smashed onto it, a loud crisp sound rang out. The sound lingered and spread in all directions like a wave of water, creating a strong sound wave. Chen Xiang was slightly shocked. This huge bronze S.H.I.+ELD was not ordinary, rather, it looked extremely ancient, as though it had experienced countless years of baptism. After suffering from Chen Xiang's terrifying dragon power attack, it had actually melted the entire dragon power away and absorbed it into the S.H.I.+ELD, causing a sound wave that shook the heaven and earth. Everyone's hearts trembled, because that sound wave left some lingering fear in their hearts. If they were under the sound wave's rippling, maybe they would be turned into dust, but Chen Xiang was completely fine. Chen Xiang was indeed attacked by the sound wave, but his body was extremely strong, comparable to that of a heavenly immortal. Just the blood qi from his body alone was enough to dissolve the sound wave. Not bad at all. He actually used a weapon to block my attack. Chen Xiang purposely emphasized on weapon, his voice full of ridicule. Feng Zhenyun laughed coldly. This is also a part of my power. I was able to obtain such a powerful ancient weapon through my own power. Why can't I use it? Comparing weapons? Most likely, no one could compare to Chen Xiang. There were 3 types on the 4 symbols divine weapons, but he did not plan to use them, because the other party was not even from the nirvana stage, so in his eyes, he was no different from an ant and did not have the qualifications to force him to use his divine weapon. This guy's bronze S.H.I.+ELD is very powerful. Looking at the spirit grain on it, it should be very ancient. Even in the Imperial Dragon race, there are only records of it in ancient books that are about to disappear. Long Xue's voice was heavy. Chen Xiang was shocked. How old was an ancient book that was about to disappear? However, this bronze S.H.I.+ELD is only an ordinary item. If it was a powerful item, it would have rebounded when you attacked. I wonder where this guy got it from. Could it be that the Tong Tian aristocratic family is really an ancient family that exists alongside the heavens and the earth? Long Xue was very curious. Feng Zhenyun held onto the huge bronze S.H.I.+ELD, walking with extremely fierce steps, with a face full of disdain. The dragon power is only SOSO, the Taiji dragon suppressed kung fu on you is too much, why not hand it over to us Feng clan to cultivate? The huge bronze S.H.I.+ELD released an ancient green light, fiercely SMAs. H.I.+ing towards Chen Xiang, releasing a pressure that felt like it was pressing down from a mountain, wanting to squash Chen Xiang into meat paste. You are not qualified to cultivate the Taiji dragon suppressed kung fu. Chen Xiang sneered. With a casual wave of his hand, he slapped away the gigantic S.H.I.+ELD as if he was shooing away a fly. Dang, a sound was heard. It was extremely comfortable, but it was completely shocking, especially Feng Zhenyun, who looked at Chen Xiang with a face full of disbelief. Just now, that S.H.I.+ELD attack was extremely powerful, but it had been broken by Chen Xiang with a casual wave of his hand. The crowd instantly became silent. What level of strength was this? Kacha! Everyone's gaze concentrated on the huge bronze S.H.I.+ELD. They saw that many cracks had actually appeared on it, and this seemingly indestructible huge bronze S. HI plus ELD had actually been smashed into pieces by Chen Xiang as if he was shooing away flies. Chen Xiang's expression was calm, without a single ripple. It looked as if he had just kicked a fly. He casually swept over Feng Zhenyun and asked, "Are you trying to obtain the Taiji dragon-suppressed Kung Fu? You! How dare you destroy my precious HI plus ELD, I will make you pay with your life." Feng Zhenyun roared. He pounced towards Chen Xiang. He believed that this was Feng Clan's territory, and with the disciples of Feng Clan watching from the side, Chen Xiang did not dare to kill him. But he was wrong. Chen Xiang was not afraid of the heavens or the earth. He had killed many big shots in the past. He did not care about any G.O.D. children's things at all, let alone this kind of guy. "You overestimate yourself." Chen Xiang waved his hand, and a golden hand appeared, slamming Feng Zhenyun onto the ground. An extremely terrifying killing intent filled the air, filling the entire plaza, causing everyone to feel cold. Feng Zhenyun was smashed into pieces, sticking to the rocks on the ground and turning into meat paste. Dead. Feng Zhenyun was not weak. His wind cloud fist had already frightened many people, but in front of Chen Xiang, he was just an ant, being smashed into pieces by Chen Xiang's light palm. Thinking back to how he had shouted that he would slap Chen Xiang to death, it was really laughable. "How dare you kill my Feng Clan's men in front of us, and even destroy our Feng Clan's treasures? Today we will capture you. Not only will we imprison you, we will also make the Super Martial School compensate for your losses." A handsome man wearing blue clothes raised his eyebrows. His face was filled with a sneer, and he had an overweeningly arrogant look, causing people to feel extremely disgusted. Another lady in a blue dress also shouted coldly, "Chen Xiang, I heard that you have a powerful blade. Hand it over and I'll give you a complete corpse. Of course, if you can hand over the Taiji dragon-suppressed Kung Fu, we can let you go. At most we can suppress you for 100 years. Chen Xiang was stunned. This was the first time he had seen someone act so arrogantly, daring to so openly threaten him, forcing him to hand over the divine arts and treasured blade. The disciples of the Tong Tian aristocratic family were not good as expected. Men and women were the same. Everyone looked like they were about to have a fierce battle, and immediately retreated. Chen Xiang laughed coldly. "If I don't kill him, he will kill me. Moreover, he was the one who provoked me first. I have obtained my treasured blade and martial arts honorably and honorably. Why should I give it to you?" At that time, only our Tong Tian aristocratic family had the ability to refine it. As for the Taiji dragon-suppressed Kung Fu, it is also an eternal existence. At that time, our ancestors had already seen it before. They could even say that it belonged to our Feng clan, so it is natural for you to hand it over now. Su Yun said. That woman had a sharp mouth, as she coldly said. Looking at their aggressive attitude, she was sure that they would not give up. The Taiji dragon-suppressed Kung Fu is my imperial dragon race's. I agree to pass it to you. The green dragon demon-slain broadsword is related to my imperial dragon race's Azure Dragon Emperor. Why is it theirs? Give them 100,000 years, and they won't even be able to carve the spirit grain on it. How could she not be angry? If not for Su Meiyao's persuasion, she would have appeared a long time ago, and beat these proud children of her family into meat paste. It was impossible for Chen Xiang not to be angry. This Feng clan really thought that they could reach the heavens, with just a few casual words. He said that the things on other people's bodies were theirs. It was impossible for Chen Xiang not to be angry. This Feng clan really thought that they could reach the heavens, with just a few casual words. He said that the things on other people's bodies were theirs. If that's the case, then your Tong Tian aristocratic family will exist forever. Then, all of the people in this new world will have your Feng clan's bloodline, and this new world will be created by you, and this world will be birthed by your ancestors as well? Chen Xiang laughed, looked at the blazing sun, and said, "How powerful is this sun? It is definitely yours at Feng clan. Why didn't you all remove it and let it be used by you all? When everyone heard this, they began to mock him. We should be from the Phone Clan as well. This means that we are all family. We should go to the Phone Clan some other day to have a feast and recognize their ancestors. The pills from Phone Clan are not bad. I wonder if they will give them to us. Probably not, but if you blow your cowhide louder than those 2 Phone Clan disciples, you should be able to get 1 or 2 pills. The disciples of Phone Clan were furious. With just a few words from Chun Xiang, everyone around hated them. You are courting death. Hand over your treasured blade and divine technique. The bewitching Phone Clan girl shouted coldly. Chun Xiang, you are only so strong with your master's support. If not, you are just dog s. Hi plus T. Chun Xiang sneered and retorted back. The guy I just killed, isn't he worse than dog s. Hi plus T? How powerful is your Phone Clan, to actually have someone that is not even as good as dog s. Hi plus T. You. Kill. No one had ever provoked them like this before. Even if they had gone to the Devil Subduing College, they would be treated as monarchs and would be supported by the Ma. SSES. Now, however, they were being provoked again and again. Once the woman charged forward, she used Phone Clan's wind cloud void steps. Her movements were ethereal, and with an extremely fast and strange speed, she arrived beside Chun Xiang, causing everyone to feel extremely breathless. Just as the jade palm was about to smash Chun Xiang to death, Chun Xiang was as calm as a mountain as he stood there without moving. After taking a picture of his face, the jade palm was immediately sucked in by Chun Xiang's Taiji dragon suppressed kung fu. You! The Phone Clan girl was shocked. Right now, her hands seemed to be right on Chun Xiang's face, but when she used her strength, she could only wiggle. In the eyes of outsiders, she seemed to be caressing Chun Xiang's handsome face. Chun Xiang deliberately blushed and said shyly, I know I'm not bad, but you can't tease me like this, you female hooligan, you are so arrogant. Woman, how dare you tease a young man from a good family in broad daylight? Everyone was stunned, they really did look up. After Chun Xiang not only had he become younger, his skin had also become jade-like, and he looked really handsome. Just at this time, Chun Xiang shouted angrily, I have my own family matters to attend to, yet you dare to disrespect me like this, hurry up and die. Everyone was startled, only to see Chun Xiang's powerful dragon power in his palm, the air around him rippling with ripples, fiercely slapping towards the girl's face. Pow! With a crisp sound, Chun Xiang did not hold back for the jade. He ruthlessly slapped the woman and slapped all of her jade teeth out. The seductive woman's pill refining had become red and swollen, but she did not fly away, because her jade hands were still stuck on Chun Xiang's face. Pow! 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 Both of Chun Xiang's hands moved at the same time, consecutively slapping the woman over 10 times. At the same time, the man from Phone Clan was already stepping forward, becoming stronger in front of Chun Xiang. Let you go, you actually dare to humiliate the disciples of our Phone Clan like this. The man shouted, releasing his sword, fiercely thrusting towards Chun Xiang. Chun Xiang sneered. He activated innate chi, urging the boiling dragon power. With one strike, it struck onto the girl's body, causing her back to be ripped apart. Blood and flesh flew out, the shattered flesh and chi splattered onto the Phone Clan man's body. Everyone was completely dumbstruck. That was a legitimate child of the Phone Clan, yet he was actually killed by Chun Xiang with just one palm. The man was so angry that his entire body was trembling. The sword piercing towards Chun Xiang was even more sinister than before, straight into Chun Xiang's eyes, but Chun Xiang's mouth raised upwards, revealing a cold smile. His eyes immediately deleted a burst of fire, the intense heaven fire, shot out from his eyes, transforming into a small fire dragon. The small fire dragon's fire energy was boiling, the hot air was like a blade, its mouth opened, biting towards the sword tip, and the treasure sword instantly entered the fire dragon's mouth, and was burnt to ashes. Whoever wants to SN, ATC, my treasured blade and divine arts, no matter who he is, as long as I, Chen Xiang, am still alive, I will definitely kill him without a burial ground. Chen Xiang's cold voice was like a sharp sword filled with killing intent, piercing into the hearts of everyone present, causing their hair to stand on end. Their hearts were filled with fear. With the appearance of the divine saber, the dragon aura engulfed the heavens. The azure color was like a dragon, and on the tyrannical azure blade, the ancient green dragon was vivid and lifelike. It exuded an ancient aura, and its dragon aura intimidated the entire audience. Die! Chen Xiang slashed his blade across the air. The boundless dragon chi engulfed the mountains and rivers, shaking the earth. Just a casual slash from Chen Xiang was already terrifying enough. Before the blade could touch the man, he was crushed into meat pulp by the aura of millions of pounds. He had killed another disciple of the Feng clan. As long as one was a member of the Chen martial continent, they would understand Chen Xiang very well, so they were not too shocked. As for the disciples of the Feng clan, they were also on the side. Your Feng clan wants to rob me of my divine arts and treasured blade. Just now, you guys have a share too, right? As soon as Chen Xiang's words fell, he shot forward like a rainbow, instantly arriving in front of the three disciples from the Feng clan. With a raise of his blade, the three were instantly crushed under the pressure and died on the spot. The great man of Feng clan is here. Chen Xiang is dead for sure. Seal off the SPAC. An angry voice was heard. Swiss. Plus Chen Xiang was surrounded by 4 middle-aged men. Upon seeing the blood mud on the ground, these Feng clan rankers were enraged. When their Tong Tian aristocratic family was born, other than a few, all the other major powers in the New World expressed their goodwill, but now they were actually killed and brought to their doorstep. He is Chen Xiang, we must not let him leave. The blade in his hand is a powerful immortal equipment. A middle-aged man from the Feng clan was shocked and shouted loudly. Capture him, and force him to say the Taiji dragon suppressed Kung Fu. Chen Xiang's treasured blade was actually a celestial weapon, no wonder it was so powerful. Many famous weapons were like tofu in front of this blade. The surrounding people all had a greedy heart as well. This was a immortal equipment, and in the New World, there weren't many of them. Even the powers that came down from the heaven realm only had a few inferior immortal equipment, but that was enough to sweep the world. Chen Xiang possessed the Taiji dragon suppressed Kung Fu, and many high-leveled pills. He had long been targeted by the Tong Tian aristocratic family, and now that he knew he had such a powerful immortal saber. Chen Xiang was expressionless, but he secretly vowed in his heart, as long as he had enough strength, he would definitely wipe out the entire Feng clan. To actually be so shameless, no one had ever dared to snatch his divine blade like this, and even interrogated him until he handed over his Taiji dragon-suppressed Kung Fu. Chen Xiang was expressionless, but he secretly vowed in his heart, as long as he had enough strength, he would definitely wipe out the entire Feng clan. To actually be so shameless, no one had ever dared to snatch his divine blade like this, and even interrogated him until he handed over his Taiji dragon-suppressed Kung Fu. You guys can't be trying to say that this blade is from your ancestors of the Feng clan. Chen Xiang said lightly. It's very possible, only us Tong Tian aristocratic family would know about those ancient spirit grain. A middle-aged man said. Chen Xiang hated that he couldn't immediately kill him, and actually dared to say such words. He had said that he was shameless, but this was the first time he saw such a shameless person. Who are you people? How dare you stop me? Chen Xiang shouted coldly. We are from the Feng clan, and as for our names, you are not worthy to know them. Be tactful, and obediently hand over the immortal equipment with both hands, and admit your guilt when you return with us. Then, hand over the Taiji dragon-suppressed Kung Fu, and we can give you a complete corpse. Chen Xiang scoffed bulls. Hi plus T, Tong Tian aristocratic family was originally no different from a bandit. After hiding in the tortoise S.A.E.L. and raising his strength for so many years, now that great war between three realms has started, he is taking advantage of the fire to rob us. Blasphemous of our Feng clan, you are dead meat. A middle-aged man bellowed. His palm struck out, the astral winds surged. His palm force was like countless blades, enveloping Qin Xiang. I crossed the second nirvana tribulation, Long Shui warned. Qin Xiang's body was strong, and he trained in the divine arts, so he was not afraid of tribulations. With the divine blade in hand, the blood in his body boiled, and the genuine qi of 5 elements seemed to explode in his dantian. Angry dragon slay. The blade slashed down, it was as though a hole was formed in heaven and earth. The aura of the blade was powerful, sweeping out in all directions. The Feng clan released a powerful palm attack. In contrast, the egg was like a rock, instantly dissolving. Even if the angry dragon slay was used endlessly, it would still be extremely terrifying. But now that Qin Xiang had used the green dragon demon-slain broadsword S and dragon power, its power was overflowing, as though it was able to destroy the gods, and with this furious slash, it shook the people, causing them to feel extremely terrified. The middle-aged man from Feng clan was shrouded in the terrifying blade aura, and what he felt was even more intense than the others, and at that moment, he was afraid. But now, with just a single slash from Qin Xiang, he had killed all of the disciples of Feng clan, not even leaving anything behind. This brat is too powerful. He crossed the second tribulation of nirvana, yet he can't even compare to Tofu. With a single slash, he is completely destroyed. No wonder the rumors said that he could sweep across the mortal martial realm. So it turns out that he didn't rely on his master, but on his own strength. The fellow from Feng clan has kicked an iron plate, but that blade is really powerful. Everyone was shocked by that terrifying blade attack. Surround and kill him, and seize the immortal equipment. A middle-aged man shouted. Qin Xiang was furious in his heart. These righteous and Bli families were actually so shameless, wanting to S.N. A.T.C. H his divine blade. None of you will survive. Qin Xiang was not afraid at all as he slashed his blade forward. The tyrannical blade qi transformed into a terrifying aura, causing the surrounding S.P.A.C. to tremble. The middle-aged man from Feng clan was prepared. He took out an ancient bell and blocked Qin Xiang, blocking Qin Xiang's terrifying blade attack. At the same time, the other 2 middle-aged men attacked Qin Xiang. With swords in their hands, they attacked Qin Xiang viciously. The 2 middle-aged men thought that they could penetrate Qin Xiang's body, but they were stopped by something stiff. Just when they were stunned, Qin Xiang suddenly turned his body, and with a sweep of his blade, he cut off the 2 middle-aged men's bodies. The 2 middle-aged men did not expect Qin Xiang to lure them to attack on purpose, and took the chance to kill them with one slash. Following that, Qin Xiang turned and slashed his blade, fiercely striking the ancient bell, causing bursts of deafening bell chimes to ring out. If one slash was not enough, Qin Xiang would consecutively send out hundreds of blade strikes. Each slash was extremely powerful and forcefully shattered the ancient bell, which could defend against gods and devils. The middle-aged man let out a miserable scream as he was chopped into 2 halves by Qin Xiang's large blade from his leg all the way to his leg. With just this little bit of ability, you still dare to clamor and steal my blade and divine art. Qin Xiang sneered. He stomped his feet, and the seal that was sealing him was broken. What happened just now was just too fast. In just a few seconds of time, 4 powerful middle-aged men from the Feng clan had all died a miserable death. Qin Xiang took out a few pikes and kicked up those middle-aged bodies. Suddenly, he threw the pikes and nailed all these corpses onto the city gates in the distance. The tall and majestic city gates were filled with cracks from the energy poured into the pikes. This was simply provoking the Feng clan. As expected of the number one madman of the mortal kung fu realm, fearless and fearless, who wouldn't dare to kill someone who even dared to kill the G.O.D. child of the devil-subduing college. No one dared to stop him. This city was just very close to the profound realm, and there were many people from the Feng clan, but they did not dare to breathe too loudly, as it would take a long time for the people from the Feng clan to arrive. There were a total of 20-odd people, all of whom had decent blood. However, all of them had made the mistake of wanting to snatch the divine blades away from Chen Xiang after seeing them, and even wanting to use the Feng clan to suppress him. Chen Xiang wanted to slap them to death like swatting mosquitoes, then pin all of them onto the city wall. Humph! Whoever dare to say that the Green Dragon Demon-Slain Broadsword and Taiji Dragon Suppressed Kung Fu are theirs, I will destroy them all. Long Shui said angrily. Chen Xiang stepped into the transmission array and said coldly, "Tell the people of Feng clan that sooner or later I, Chen Xiang, will annihilate them, and actually dare to say that my treasured blade and Taiji Dragon Suppressed Kung Fu are theirs, unless they are willing to come to the Super Martial School to seek forgiveness. Otherwise, I will not rest until I am dead." After releasing these harsh words, Chen Xiang returned to the Super Martial School, and looked for the old madman to find out more about the Tong Tian aristocratic family. Because these Tong Tian aristocratic family were truly powerful, the huge bronze SHI+ELD and the ancient bell actually had very ancient characters written on them. Not long after Chen Xiang left, the elders of the Feng clan arrived with a large number of young generation and strong experts. Seeing that their disciples and those 4 middle-aged men had been nailed to the city wall, they were instantly enraged, and that all of their businesses in the city had been looted or destroyed by Chen Xiang. This was actually all done by a brat, and of course the elders of the Feng clan knew that this was all because their disciple from the Feng clan wanted to snatch Chen Xiang's immortal equipment and divine arts, which was why they angered Chen Xiang. But the Feng clan elder thought that this was natural. In their view, as long as it was an ancient object, it would belong to their Tong Tian aristocratic family. Chen Xiang appeared after being missing for many days, and actually killed many disciples of the Feng clan. After finding out the details, those who were familiar with Chen Xiang did not feel surprised, because the disciples of the Feng clan were going to snatch other people's treasured blades and divine arts, not to mention Chen Xiang. Only those with a little blood would go crazy. Feng clan was in the wrong, but those who were familiar with Chen Xiang would go to the Super Martial School to capture him. Other powers might fear the Super Martial School, but that was not true for the Tong Tian aristocratic family, because they were extremely confident in their own strength, and they were also from the ancient Tong Tian aristocratic family, so at this time, the matter had already spread throughout the entire New World. If the Feng clan did not settle this well, they would definitely be mocked, so they had to take Chen Xiang down. Other powers might fear the Super Martial School, but that was not true for the Tong Tian aristocratic family, because they were extremely confident in their own strength, and they were also from the ancient Tong Tian aristocratic family, so at this time, the matter had already spread throughout the entire New World. If the Feng clan did not settle this well, they would definitely be mocked, so they had to take Chen Xiang down. Inside the Super Martial Profound Realm, Chen Xiang was currently eating barbecue with a slovenly, white-haired old man. Little B.A.S.T. A.R.D. Your peerless tribulation is too satisfying. I want to give it a try too, haha. After Huang Jintian heard about Chen Xiang's tribulation, he laughed loudly. Master, if that wasn't the fire tribulation, I would have died a long time ago. You still have the heart to laugh here. Chen Xiang said snappily. Hee, if you weren't alchemist, you might not have been struck by fire tribulation. Huang Jintian laughed. When an alchemist transcends tribulation, their power will become even stronger. However, even in the midst of the tribulation of 2,000 people, Chen Xiang still could not feel if his nirvana doom was stronger than others. Master, what is the background of the Tong Tian aristocratic family? In it, they actually said that the Taiji dragon suppressed Kung Fu was created by their ancestors, and they even wanted to snatch my blade, saying that my blade is related to their Tong Tian aristocratic family's ancestors. As Chen Xiang spoke of this matter, his face was still filled with anger. Motherf *Ker, if it wasn't for the fact that they were hiding somewhere in profound realm with an old guy, I would have almost killed a Tong Tian aristocratic family all those years ago. Huang Jintian was instantly enraged, and smashed a piece of meat in his hands onto the ground fiercely. This group of fellows appeared? Back then, when I was traveling across borders, I was hunted down by a group of BASTARDS who wanted to snatch my Taiji dragon suppressed Kung Fu. Chen Xiang was stunned. These Tong Tian aristocratic family were truly too shameless. As long as they had powerful martial arts, he would just say it was theirs. Kid, let me tell you, if someone is interested in stealing your Taiji dragon suppressed Kung Fu, even if he's the D of the heavens, we can talk after we kill him. Huang Jintian warned him with a serious expression. We must not let the Taiji dragon suppressed Kung Fu land in the hands of Tong Tian aristocratic family. Chen Xiang nodded. I understand. Tong Tian aristocratic family, they are indeed not weak. The reason they are called Tong Tian aristocratic family is because their path to heaven is unimpeded, and unimpeded is because they will not encounter nirvana doom, and when they break through nirvana, it is equivalent to the cultivation of other realms. I think this is related to their cultivation, or perhaps it is related to their bloodline. Huang Jintian said, as if he was thinking about something. Chen Xiang was shocked. If they did not encounter nirvana doom, then wouldn't the road of ascension for these Tong Tian aristocratic family be extremely easy? But, because they do not have nirvana doom, and have not experienced any tribulations, their strength is much weaker than those of the same level, so they would search for large amounts of bodies to make up for it. However, if one of them could awaken a heavenly bloodline, then there would not be such a drawback. Huang Jintian continued. Chen Xiang never thought that Huang Jintian had come into contact with the Tong Tian aristocratic family before, and following that, he told Huang Jintian about how the various continents of this new world would collide with each other. It's very likely that this happened during the evolution of the world. If it really becomes like this, I can leave now, and I'm also waiting for this day to come. The Tong Tian aristocratic family has already made their move, and they are paving the way for their great cause of ruling this new world. Once this new world's evolution is completed, and it becomes a more stable and powerful world, the old ones in Tong Tian aristocratic family will be able to leave profound realm, and their Tong Tian aristocratic family will be able to do whatever they want. Chen Xiang took a deep breath with a serious face. Aren't those old guys planning to ascend? Chen Xiang asked curiously. Flying is not a good thing. If you do not fly, you are the strongest existence here, but if you fly to heaven realm, you are just an ant. If you cultivate well, with sufficient resources, most people would hide in profound realm and cultivate successfully, then fly to heaven realm. Huang Jintian explained. Even the Tong Tian aristocratic family is tyrannical. You killed a lot of them, and slapped their faces, they will definitely not let you go. Chen Xiang laughed. I'm not afraid of them. If they have the guts, then come at me. Huang Jintian and Chen Xiang fought for a few rounds. After inspecting Chen Xiang's strength, he let Chen Xiang go out and prepare to deal with Tong Tian aristocratic family. The moment Chen Xiang came out, Gu Dongchen came to look for him. He had long heard of this extremely important matter. Junior Marshal Uncle, those guys will be knocking on my door soon. When the time comes, let's see how I'll teach them a lesson. Gu Dongchen sneered. This surprised Chen Xiang, and he anxiously asked, "A lad, don't you blame us for causing such a disaster? What's there to blame? This Feng clan is extremely arrogant. He actually wants us Chen martial continent to submit to them, and even said that we will not submit to them, we will only be able to walk the road of destruction in the future." Hua Xiangyue was now in charge of the Dan Fragrance Pure Land, and Wu Keiming was outside the Great Devil Mountains, and they were the only ones in the super martial school right now, but he was not afraid of the Feng clan coming knocking on his door. Boom! Gu Dongchen was furious. He turned into a ray of light and left the super martial profound realm, arriving at the main entrance. Chen Xiang knew that it was definitely the Feng clan who took action, and anxiously followed him out. Gu Dongchen came from the mysterious ancient spirit race of the ancient spirit Great Land. His strength was deep and unfathomable. At the entrance of the super martial school, there were 4 white-haired old men wearing blue robes. Behind them were 20 young men and women, and they all secretly frowned. The super martial school was not so weak. With a schwa sound, Gu Dongchen arrived at the entrance of the super martial school's majestic gates. He bellowed at the group of Feng clan's people. "That trash is causing trouble here, hurry up and come out." The people of Feng clan were immediately angered. In their eyes, the super martial school was merely a small sect, yet he was so presumptuous. "Humph, don't think that you are invincible with just an immortal backing you up. You are Gu Dongchen, right? Quickly hand over Chen Xiang and then kowtow to us and admit your wrongs. You actually dare to insult our Feng clan." An elder sneered. Chen Xiang also walked out. Hearing these words, his heart was ignited with anger. Gu Dongchen was also stunned for a while. It was the first time someone got him to kowtow and admit his mistake. "Do not think that your Tong Tian aristocratic family is lawless and wants me to kowtow to you and recognize the wrong door. You bunch of B.A.S.T.A.R.D.S. were the ones who attacked our super martial school." Gu Dongchen held his hands behind his back, and his voice was like thunder as it rolled and spread throughout the entire Heaven Door city, shocking everyone. "Looks like you guys won't cry until you see the coffin. Say that again, hand Chen Xiang over and pay us back with the 10 billion spars. Otherwise, we will annihilate the entire super martial school today." An elder said coldly with a loud voice, so loud that everyone in the city could hear him. "Looks like you guys won't cry until you see the coffin. Say that again, hand Chen Xiang over and pay us back with the 10 billion spars. Otherwise, we will annihilate the entire super martial school today." An elder said coldly with a loud voice, so loud that everyone in the city could hear him. Chen Xiang's face was expressionless as he stared at the youths. At this time, a young boy suddenly appeared behind Chen Xiang, dressed in black. It was the Kylan Thunder Eagle of the ancient spirit Great Land. The super martial school elders and young rankers were all standing at the entrance. Everyone was furious. As long as Gu Dongchen gave the order, they would immediately rush forward to annihilate the people of Feng clan. Say it again, those people who just made a move on the super martial school, immediately kowtow and admit their wrongs, or else, I will pin your corpses on the super martial school's gate and bask them in the sun for 3 days. Gu Dongchen clenched his fist and said loudly, "A leader from a small sect dares to spout nonsense? Don't you know that our Feng clan is a Tong Tian aristocratic family? This is good too, we'll send you on your way now." An old man shouted in anger. The disciples of the super martial school were all dumbfounded. The people of the Feng clan were too arrogant. Even if they were people of the Tong Tian aristocratic family they should not be so wild. Gu Dongchen laughed coldly. "I haven't lived enough yet, but you old B.A.S.T.A.R.D.S., it seems like you want me to send you to your deaths." After he finished speaking, Gu Dongchen waved his hand, and a ray of white light flickered out, forming a very large innate chi palm. Although the aura did not burst out, it still made people feel fear, causing one's legs to go soft. Gu Dongchen's palm came SMAs. HI plus ing down, enveloping the four elders of the Feng clan. The earth shook and let out a loud boom as his energy surged like a dragon, and he shot into the air like a dragon. Such a terrifying palm strike showed that Gu Dongchen had exhausted all of his strength, and the most shocking thing was that the ground did not have the slightest hint of damage. The four elders did not expect Gu Dongchen to make a sudden move, and that one was so terrifying, it far exceeded their expectations. Gu Dongchen's strength was much stronger than the average person who had endured the 8 nirvana tribulations. After being hit by Gu Dongchen's huge palm, all of the bones in their bodies were shattered. Their dantian was invaded by Gu Dongchen's terrifying innate qi and ignited, causing the bodies of the four elders to be destroyed by the exploding innate qi. You all! A young man turned pale with fright when he saw it. At this time, Chen Xiang had already made his move. He leaped into the air and struck the ground with his palm, releasing all the innate qi within the 2 million Jinyuan granule and formed it into a dragon power, condensing into a gigantic mountain filled with thunder power. Then, he used the innate qi to form a pair of gigantic hands, which embraced the gigantic mountain formed from lightning and innate qi and wildly smashed the young disciples of the Feng clan below. That gigantic mountain was also formed from the innate qi, and was as heavy as a real mountain. Furthermore, it carried a berserk thunder power. The treasures in their hands were not weak. 20-odd people had used powerful treasures to block them, which had an effect in the beginning, but after Chen Xiang crazily smashed them for more than 100 times, they started to crumble one after another. Even people who had experienced 4 nirvana tribulations and 5 tribulations could not be calm while facing such a terrifying attack from Chen Xiang, let alone these little brats who were still 100 refining realm at. Without any treasures, these disciples of Feng clan were like ants. They were smashed into pieces by the gigantic mountain of lightning and mixed with the stones on the ground until they were charred black by the lightning. The surrounding people were completely stunned, because they could see that this madman Chen Xiang was even more powerful than before. The powerful disciples of Feng clan held on to high-grade treasures, but was easily killed by Chen Xiang. A bunch of trash like you actually dared to come to the super martial school to make a ruckus. Do you really think we are some weaklings that you can pinch so easily? Hang the bodies of these 4 old fellows at the city gate and bask them in the sun for 3 days. If anyone dares to take them down, inform me immediately. Gu Dongchen waved his sleeves, turned and walked back into the door, killing people without bloodshed. Such power was truly admirable. Although he did not know the strength of the 4 elders of the Feng clan, they should be pretty strong if they dared to come and clamor. However, 4 of them were actually killed with just a single palm from Gu Dongchen, which showed just how strong the super martial school was. Of course, Chen Xiang's methods were even more shocking. Using the vast innate qi to turn into a terrifying lightning mountain, he forcefully smashed apart the bodies of the young disciples of the Feng clan and his high-leveled treasures. Seeing that the super martial school people had all retreated, everyone rushed to the city gate to see how the super martial school elders had hung the Feng clan elders at the city gate. The super martial school has completely angered the Feng clan, and even the leader has made his move. It's no wonder, just now these few old fellows were too arrogant. They actually got the super martial school to kowtow and admit their wrongs, and even got the super martial school to compensate them with 10 billion spar. There's something wrong with their heads. That's right, if you don't look at how long the super martial school has been paused, said Down 4, how can you just casually pinch a soft persimmon? Feng clan is going to take action now. I wonder if it will be Feng clan taking action or super martial school taking action. The news spread through the various continents, and within half a day, the entire New World found out. What shocked the various forces was, it was actually Gu Dongchen himself. The super martial school was able to distribute simple cultivation versions of the demon-subduing martial arts, so he was very famous in the New World. Gu Dongchen had been to many large continents to impart his skills to them, and when he was in the great war between three realms, he was able to impart to them the demon-subduing martial arts. It had to be known that even the devil-subduing college did not have such a simple and easy-to-understand cultivation method, so the people from the devil-subduing college would often go there to seek advice. At this time, the relations HI+P between the Super Martial School and the Super Martial School was extremely good. If Tong Tian aristocratic family were to fight with him, it would be hard to judge who would win. Because Chen Xiang had contributed a large amount of relived Dan's medicinal herbs, many elders in the Super Martial School could peacefully pass their tribulations. Most of them were successful, and their overall strength had increased by a lot. Through the creation divine liquid, Chen Xiang was able to quickly create a large number of relived Dan, and then pass it to the Dan fragrance Pure Land to refine. In the end, he would sell it at a suitable price to other Chen martial continents sections. The power of the pellets were indeed strong, especially the higher-ranked pellet. At this moment, even the Dan Alliance was extremely envious of the Chen martial continent to actually have a large number of relived Dan. As for the Dan Alliance, he was also being controlled by the Tong Tian aristocratic family now. The price of the pills were outrageously high, to the point of being insulted by the warriors of the New World. However, there was nothing he could do, because only the Dan Alliance's pill city had the most complete set of pills. The Feng clan could no longer stay calm. The elders that were sent to the Super Martial School were actually killed, and all the young disciples were beaten into meat paste. What made them lose face the most was that their elders were left at the city gate to demonstrate their might. In order to allow the Feng clan elders' corpses to last for 3 days, Gu Dongchen ordered all of the transmission array to be closed and the city barrier formation to be activated. What was unexpected was that the Feng clan was so calm, he did not even send anyone, but they had actually convened a convention for the Tong Tian aristocratic family. The Feng clan was holding a convention in his own territory, inviting those powers and leader that were flattering them, as well as the other 9 Tong Tian aristocratic families. The Feng clan was holding a convention in his own territory, inviting those powers and leader that were flattering them, as well as the other 9 Tong Tian aristocratic families. No one knew what exactly they were going to do, but they were sure that no one in the Chen martial continent would be invited. The 10 great Tong Tian aristocratic families and the 10 great sage realms. Impressive. It seems that the new world will be dominated by these great realms in the future. A person sighed. The 10 saint realms were powers like the Peach Blossom Fairyland, who were hidden away in the world. They had a strong background and strong strength, and their profound realm had a lot of resources. At this time, Peach Blossom Fairyland had also changed his name to Peach Blossom Imperial Land, and this disciple often came out to visit. Inside the Super Martial School, Gu Dongchen and the elders were having a meeting, and Chen Xiang was also present. Leader, do you think that Tong Tian aristocratic family is planning to join hands to attack us? There are quite a few powers who are trying to get close to them. Chen Xiang said. I have the Taiji Dragon suppressed Kung Fu and that treasured blade. They are most likely thinking about this. What are you afraid of? Come at me, annihilate all these bulls. HI+T Tong Tian aristocratic family S here. An old man sneered. Elder W. ANG you've pas, said the 8th tribulation. Is your hand itchy? Heh. Chen Xiang laughed. Tong Tian aristocratic family is too arrogant. He actually got them to kneel down and admit their wrongs. I really want to go and attack them. Elder W. ANG laughed. Everyone was speechless. After that they discussed how to guard against the Tong Tian aristocratic family, and then the Great Devil Mountains. They knew that the demonic chi channels of the 3 realms would not close anymore, and they would even merge together in the end. This was definitely not the way. It would only cause the 3 sides to be annihilated, and they felt that there was a need to negotiate. In the future, they would all become heavyweights of these powers. On the other hand, the Feng clan had even instigated these powerful forces to catch Chen Xiang and force Chen Xiang to hand over the Taiji dragon-suppressed kungfu and the divine weapon-level treasure blade. Of course, they didn't know that it was actually a divine blade, otherwise they would have already killed their way over. Chen Xiang's Taiji dragon-suppressed kungfu and the blade were indeed very important, but the older generation would never take action to SN. Them, it would only be a joke, but the girls and the Son of Heaven all thought that if they could obtain these things, then they would become even stronger, and they would be the strongest amongst the young generation, confident that they could defeat Chen Xiang. Many years ago, there were people in the mortal martial realm who wanted to Huang Jintian's Taiji dragon suppressed kungfu, but in the end, Huang Jintian personally went to find those people, and challenged them one by one, and almost all the strong warriors in the mortal martial realm died. Now, Chen Xiang was also facing such a situation, and it wasn't just a world situation, but an entire enormous new world. After Gu Dongchen killed the elder of the Feng clan was already so quiet. However, it made people even more uneasy. At the same time, shocking news spread out. All the continents were moving quickly. Some of them had already collided with each other, and the legend had finally come true. The passageway between the demon and devil realms and the human world was completely opened. The three worlds were actually merged together, and all the continents seemed to have a suction force that sucked them in. Soon, all the continents would merge together into a large piece of land. This was a true new world, but there would definitely be endless wars, because it was much easier for the demon realm and demon realm to come. Furthermore, they lacked resources, so they would definitely launch an even fiercer attack on the human world. Chen Xiang had said before that once the entire world evolved, SPAC would become even more stable, and Huang Jintian could come out. The old fellows that were hidden by other forces would also come out, and when the time came, it would definitely be a world-shocking war. Don't worry, if these old fellows do not enter the heaven realm, they won't be able to live for long. Their lifespan is limited. Su Meiyao said. This group of reckless BASTARDS actually had plans for the Taiji dragon-suppressed kungfu. If I can recover my strength, I will definitely destroy all of these Tong Tian aristocratic family. Bai Yu said angrily. Please don't be angry, Sister Yu. Chen Xiang anxiously said. He knew that although Su Meiyao and Bai Yu were still severely injured, they were still slightly stronger, but he did not know the specifics. When three worlds merge together, the Earth's core will become even more terrifying. I wonder what will happen. It seems like it is even more stable than the sacred Dan realm. At that time, you might not be able to use your Luotian gate. Long Shui said worriedly. The invisible changes in the world, anyone could feel it, the spirit energy was increasing, becoming denser, this was the most obvious, and a part of the transmission array was also slowly losing effectiveness. If they wanted to teleport, they could only do so by using those ancient method. In Continent of the King, Chen Xiang aimlessly walked on the streets and blended into the mundane world. He felt this feeling he had not felt in a long time and listened to the hawkers on the streets shouting. Where did that vanished mortal world go? There must be a big secret inside, but Su Meiyao and Bai Yu didn't tell him about it. In a bustling and luxurious hotel, there were all oh bless present. Chen Xiang entered and ordered some wine and drinks by himself. As a result, they have appeared in many dangerous areas, but there are many treasures inside. I heard that there are also some mysterious ancient palaces, but I did not expect that so many profound realm would be exposed to the world. An ancient voice suddenly rang out. Tong Tian aristocratic family and Xing domain have made their move and taken over many good profound realms. Truly a bandit. There's no other way. Who let him be strong? However, there must be someone who will not compromise. Let's see how these savage powers will deal with them. We'll find a chance to sneak into the great profound realm S. After hearing this news, Chen Xiang's eyes lit up. He was missing some medicinal herbs to concoct pills. He wanted to go to these profound realm S to look for if there were any medicinal herbs that he needed. Chen Xiang made a trip to the Divine Weapons Heavenly Country, where Lu Menger and Dongfang Xinyue were still focused on refining the array discard that would create the profound realm, but Chen Xiang did not disturb them, instead going to the continent of the king, preparing to head to the largest profound realm. These profound realm were all fused with the world and turned into a piece of land. Without the obstruction of SPAC, there were countless treasures inside, but they were all divided and occupied by a few unreasonable forces. After each continent merged, they would be separated into 3 main regions: the Human Realm S, Demon Realm S, and Devil Realm S. The forces near the border would all go there to negotiate and try their best to compromise. After each continent merged, they would be separated into 3 main regions: the Human Realm S, Demon Realm S, and Devil Realm S. The forces near the border would all go there to negotiate and try their best to compromise. The human realm was the largest and also the largest in number of people. Furthermore, the human realm was divided into 5 large regions: East, West, and West. If one did not rely on the transmission array, to fly from the south to the east would take 20 to 30 years. The Chern Martial Continent was located in the south, and there were 2 Tong Tian aristocratic family S and 2 ancient sage realms here. Currently, they were both like the sun in the sky, controlling a large portion of the large and small sects and clans. In just a short span of a month, the situation had already been set. Right now, there was no strong power that could dominate the human realm, let alone the entire human realm. Even a region could not match up to it. For example, in the south, there was an ancient sect that wanted to dominate them and become the emperor of the south. The emperors of the south were not that easy to deal with, unless they were very strong. However, that was not realistic because right now all the great powers were evenly matched, able to balance each other out. If they were to break the balance, they would be annihilated by the combined forces of the other powers. Chen Xiang looked at the transmission array from amongst the continent of the King S and sighed and shook his head. This place was also packed full of people, because all the transmission array S had lost their effectiveness, making it difficult to travel through SPAC. It was just as the rumors said, the SPAC had become firmer. It was difficult for ordinary transmission array to open a door to the void, and only the big sects and ancient clans had a method to teleport to the primordial era. Because in ancient times, SPAC was also very strong. Many people were trapped here, and these people were traveling everywhere. They all came from other regions, and the central region had the most people here because it was the center of the world. It was the most prosperous place, and also the most powerful. My Luotian gate has been destroyed as well. Is it still a mortal realm? Something that even the sacred Dan realm can use, can't do it anymore. Chen Xiang sat on the ground in displeasure, drooping his head and sighing. I can't use it in the heaven realm, otherwise Wu Canghong would not leave it for you. Although the sacred Dan realm is a high-level world, it is very special there. You can view it as a special super-large profound realm, somewhere between the heaven realm and the human world, but it is filled with dense, immortal qi. Long Shui said. Luotian Gate can only be a collector's item now, but they can still be used in the sacred Dan realm in the future. D.A.M. It, if I go back to the super martial school now, won't I have to fly back by myself? When Chen Xiang thought about that long road, he felt a headache. The rest of them were also like that. Fortunately, they were in the most prosperous city in continent of the king, so if they were in a place that was full of birds ping or the heavens should not scream, they would also want to cry. Go look for Dongfang Xinyue and Lu Meng'er. They have an ancient array in their hands, they might even come up with a treasure to travel to another place. Long Shui said. Chen Xiang laughed bitterly. We still have to go to Divine Weapon's heavenly country. I don't know how long we'll have to fly. A few old men with white hair suddenly descended from the sky. It had to be said that flying was forbidden in City of the King, so the fact that they could fly freely meant that their status was not low. The formation master is here. There's hope. A person shouted excitedly. Great. I was planning to buy a few pairs of shoes and run back home, but I don't need them anymore. Will a few pairs of shoes suffice? Although your place is also in the south, it is the northernmost area. From here to that place, there's at least 100 pairs. Everyone wanted to laugh, but they couldn't. This was only the south. If they had to cross over a large region, then that distance would truly be terrifying. Kids, take advantage of young age and walk a bit more path. Although we are array masters, it will take at least half a year to set up an ancient transmission array. An old man used an unknown stone to check the toughness of the SPAC. Another old man said, in this half a year, there will be enough time for some people to walk back. Even if the transmission array great formation is established, the price would be very expensive, because the energy required to open it is huge. You all should go and earn the spar first. Don't wait anymore. Go back and train yourself more. These young men were extremely unhappy. These old men were standing and speaking without feeling any pain in their back. If they had the strength, then that was fine too. But if they were weak, then they would have met with a formidable beast in the form of a human, and they would be dead for sure. If they accidentally stumbled into some dangerous areas, even a giant would fall into them. At this time, someone from the transmitting square shouted, whether or not you have friends from the Chun Martial Continent who can unite with us, we can still be considered close to the Chun Martial Continent from here. It should at most be around a year. Chen Xiang almost vomited blood. After all the large and small worlds were merged together, the large and small continents merged together to form a huge landmass. It was a mixed game, at least for those who liked to travel, this was a good thing. Some of the warriors at the bottom level also thought that it was a good thing because the spirit energy had become very rich. For those like them who lacked resources, the cost of cultivation could be reduced. Is there anyone who would like to go to rough and random profound land? A gray-robed man around 20 years old shouted. Everyone quieted down. Isn't the rough and random profound land the great forbidden land that suddenly appeared in the south? This was originally a profound realm. However, due to the great change in the world, it suddenly jumped out. This was because there were many huge ancient beasts inside, hence the name Profound Realm. Even the Tong Tian aristocratic family and the top 10 sage realm experts were only moving around in the outer region. I'll go. Chen Xiang immediately replied, and then walked towards that person. Are you crazy? An elder of the Tong Tian aristocratic family has just died in that place. An old man hurriedly shouted. You are afraid of death, but we are not. The gray-robed man snorted and continued to shout. Go to rough and random profound land, you're not afraid of death. A well-dressed man disdainfully said, two brainless idiots who overestimate their capabilities. Do you think you're some kind of immortals? The gray-robed man was instantly enraged. Although his clothes were simple, his innate chi was not weak. Anyone near him could feel the vigorous aura that he was emitting, as if he was a flaming bull. Did that bastard say that? You're scolding us, hurry up and get out of here. Even if you don't have the ability to go, it doesn't mean that others don't. The gray-robed man shouted angrily. There was no reply as the man continued. Even a dog dares to bark in front of a man, yet you only put a snub on the back of others. You're worse than a dog. Chen Xiang clenched his fists and looked at the others. He had changed his appearance so no one would recognize him. Chen Xiang clenched his fists and looked at the others. He had changed his appearance so no one would recognize him. The gray-robed man was originally very handsome, but his appearance was sloppy. His beard was all over his face and his hair was all messed up, but no one dared to look down on him. He really is a coward. He only dares to speak behind others' backs, but he doesn't dare to stand out. Puh! This sort of guy doesn't have any ability at all. His mouth is just on his butt. Don't spout nonsense. The gray-robed man curled his lips and said. The well-dressed man finally could no longer hold it in and walked up to the gray-clothed man. I didn't want to lower myself to the same level as a boor like you, but you've insulted me time and time again. Hurry up and apologize. Who are you? The gods or the gods? Do you have any other skills than farting? When the gray-clothed man saw that fellow jump out, he secretly rejoiced in his heart. He had long since disliked this kind of person. As long as he had the opportunity, he would ruthlessly teach him a lesson. Do you know who I am? My name is Feng Yaoming. I am the younger brother of the Feng clan's Tianzi, Feng Guang. My father is the patriarch of the Feng clan. My grandfather is... Your grandfather is me. The gray-robed man slapped over with his palm. His hand moved like lightning and fiercely slapped Feng Yaoming. In that moment, Feng Yaoming's handsome face turned green. Furthermore, he was the son of the Feng clan's patriarch, the younger brother of the Feng clan's son. It had to be said that the 10 great families and the 10 great sage realm heavenly daughters were all talented people, and at such a young age, their strength was already comparable to that of the old generation. But now, a little brother of the Son of Heaven had been beaten by someone else. You? Who are you? How dare you? Chen Xiang laughed. Didn't he just say that he's your grandfather? Everyone did not dare laugh. Offending the Feng clan would not end up well. But Chen Xiang was not afraid. He was the first person in this new world that dared to provoke Feng clan. Brat, remember this grandpa's name. My name is Duan Sanchong. If you don't accept, you can bring your men to the Duan clan in the heavenly sealing grounds to find me. Duan Sanchong sneered. Duan clan. Your Duan clan actually broke through the seal of heaven. Feng Yaoming was greatly shocked and did not say any more. It was clear that he had some misgivings about the Duan clan in the heavenly sealing ground. Everyone looked at each other. The Duan clan that could cause fear in the people of Feng clan was truly extraordinary. He took out a long sword and thought that Chen Xiang was a soft persimmon. He pointed at Chen Xiang and said, You just insulted my grandfather, so I must kill you today. Duan Sanchong frowned. The one who insulted your grandfather seemed to be me. What does it have to do with him? People of the Duan clan, this is between him and me. Don't get involved. Feng Yaoming did not dare to touch Duan Sanchong, because he knew that Duan Sanchong was stronger than him, but he had lost so much face here. He must regain some of his dignity, so Chen Xiang had become his target. Chen Xiang shook his head and smiled at Duan Sanchong. Brother Duan, I can solve this. He was scolding me just now, and I haven't taught him a lesson yet. Duan Sanchong shrugged his shoulders. He knew that those who dared to go to rough and random profound land were no ordinary people. Kneel down and admit your wrongs, or else I'll stab your throat. Seeing that Duan Sanchong did not interfere, Feng Yaoming became even more confident. This Feng Yaoming was indeed not weak. To think that he had already reached the Nirvana realm. However, just now, he was still sent flying by Duan Sanchong's palm, which showed that Duan Sanchong's strength was not simple at all. I think you were the one who scolded us first, right? Why should I apologize to you? Chen Xiang said indifferently. The one who should be apologizing. I won't make you kneel down, just apologize. You're delusional. You're not going to kneel, are you? I will make you kneel. Feng Yaoming was furious. He was the dignified brother of the Son of Heaven, the son of the Feng clan's patriarch, and his strength was not weak in the Feng clan. Now that he had come out to train, he only spoke a few words before getting slapped. However, he was very afraid of Duan Sanchong, so he could only vent his anger on him. Everyone retreated, leaving a large S.P.A.C., while Feng Yaoming rushed towards Chen Xiang, with his sword fingers pointing at Chen Xiang's throat. His footwork was extremely fast and strange. His figure flashed back and forth. Chen Xiang had met Chen Xiang before when he was fighting with Feng Zhenyun. It was just that Feng Yaoming's was a bit more powerful. It's the Feng clan's changing wind steps. Even the sword techniques Gale are top-notch. Brother, you should be careful, Duan Sanchong anxiously warned. Although Feng clan's footwork technique was not bad, Chen Xiang was not an ordinary person. His eyes were terrifying, being tempered by flames in the center of the earth and also being trained by his powerful consciousness. Anything more would be slowed down in his eyes. The sword stabbed over, coming from the left side of Chen Xiang, aimed at Chen Xiang's neck. The sword chi was oppressive, as it emitted a sound of something tearing through the air, as though it could pierce through S.P.A.C. Everyone felt their hairs stand on end. In that moment, everyone believed that Chen Xiang's neck was definitely going to be pierced, but at the same time, Chen Xiang raised his head and dodged the tip of the sword. At the same time, he struck the blade with his palm. What was shocking was that after the sword was struck, it did not shatter, but turned into powder. Chen Xiang's palm had condensed an extremely strong flame, and was pouring it all into the sword. Feng Yaoming was startled. He knew that he had kicked an iron board. That sword of his was no ordinary weapon, it was a treasure, but was smashed into powder by Chen Xiang's palm. I've given you a chance, but you don't know how to be rare, Chen Xiang shouted coldly. His palm flashed with a gold light, transforming into a huge golden palm, Rus. Hi plusing down towards Feng Yaoming. Feng Yaoming's body flashed, and a golden armor appeared, enveloping his body, but he was still suppressed by Chen Xiang's huge palm. The ground trembled, leaving behind a gigantic palm print. Feng Yaoming was trapped under the palm, a trickle of blood flowing from the corner of his mouth. If not for the powerful armor protecting him, he might have already been covered in meat sauce. Feng Yaoming didn't think that Chen Xiang would actually want to kill him, but he had also wanted to stab through Chen Xiang's throat. Die. Chen Xiang struck out with his palm in the air. The power of the heaven-blasting palm condensed into one point and condensed over, striking Feng Yaoming's body. It caused a strong shock wave, causing Feng Yaoming to vomit blood. Everyone thought that Chen Xiang had used all of his strength to launch this strike, but now Chen Xiang had released palm after palm, causing the entire plaza to tremble continuously. At this time, Feng Yaoming had no way of escaping, because the energy of Chen Xiang's palm was flowing in an unending stream, causing his entire body to be in intense pain every single time. If he did not have the protection of the armor, who knows how many times Chen Xiang would have died. It's the heaven-blasting palm. Seems like only Chen Xiang can use it this way. A few Chen martial continent felt that it was familiar and said anxiously. Everyone was looking at Chen Xiang's face now, as if they wanted to skin him alive and look at him carefully. He was very clear about Chen Xiang's methods. Many of his own Feng clan-s had already died in Chen Xiang's hands, and Chen Xiang and his Feng clan had already formed a huge enmity, so he wasn't afraid of killing him again. To think that someone would see through his disguise, Chen Xiang did not hide his true face and continued to attack Feng Yaoming's armor with his heaven-blasting palm. To think that someone would see through his disguise, Chen Xiang did not hide his true face and continued to attack Feng Yaoming's armor with his heaven-blasting palm. Seeing that it was really Chen Xiang, the entire plaza exclaimed. Everyone could see what happened to Feng Yaoming. Gotcha! Feng Yaoming's armor suddenly cracked, causing him to tremble with fear. Don't kill me! Otherwise Feng clan will not let you go. Feng Yaoming shouted loudly. At the same time, the golden armor on his body suddenly cracked. Chen Xiang released 2 blazing heaven-blasting palm-s consecutively, turning Feng Yaoming into ashes and dissipating along with the wind from his palm. This Feng Yaoming was the son of the Feng clan's patriarch, and his grandfather seemed to be very powerful as well. Chen Xiang actually just killed him like that, not even leaving his corpse behind. It had completely infuriated Feng clan. Humph, everyone just saw it. He was the one who wanted to kill me first. If I didn't have the strength, I would be the one who died. Chen Xiang said lightly. Duan Sanchang was also startled. At most, he dared to teach Feng Yaoming a lesson, but Chen Xiang had turned him into ashes. Brother Shen, let's go now. Duan Sanchang brought Chen Xiang and quickly flew towards the city gate. If there was an old man from Feng clan here, then Chen Xiang would be in deep trouble. Duan Sanchang brought Chen Xiang into a forest and changed his appearance before daring to take the main road. Brother Shin, you don't have to worry about the Feng clan chasing after you. Without the transmission array technique, the news will spread very slowly. Duan Sanchang laughed. That Feng Yaoming is far inferior to his brother, but compared to the disciples of the large sects, he's still very strong. I never expected him to kill him. Chen Xiang shook his head. Feng clan has always wanted to steal my treasured blade and Taiji dragon suppressed kung fu. I'm not afraid of them. These Tong Tian aristocratic family are all like this. Back then, when our Duan clan was on the verge of collapse, they also robbed us a few times. This group of B.A.S.T. A.R.D.S. Anger surfaced on Duan Sanchang's face. Brother Duan, what's a heavenly sealing grounds? Chen Xiang asked curiously. Duan Sanchang sighed. It's a place that is sealed by the heavens. This isn't a coincidence, rather, it's sealed once in a while, but now it's completely over. In the future, we won't be sealed anymore. Your Duan clan has appeared as well? That Feng Yaoming is so afraid of your Duan clan. You guys should be very powerful. Chen Xiang laughed. Actually, however, we specialized in digging the Tong Tian aristocratic family, so they are afraid that we would hate me too. If they offend our Duan clan, we would do everything we can to dig out all of their ancestral graves. Duan Sanchang's words stunned Chen Xiang. Our Duan clan's goal is not only to find the Tong Tian aristocratic family, but also the graves of some of the powers within the demon and devil realms. The reason why I came out this time is because I want to go to the rough and random profound land to have a look. My father said that there might be a big clan there. Chen Xiang secretly exclaimed in his heart. Now he understood why the Duan clan was sealed so often. Duan Sanchang saw Chen Xiang's look of disdain and anxiously said, Don't look at me like that, we tombs robbers also have morals. We will definitely not send our ancestors out, we will only let them die with us. Chen Xiang curled his lips and said, Looks like it's very easy for your Duan clan to be hunted down. Of course, in the ancient times, our Duan clan was called a street rat by everyone, but it was precisely because of this that many old fellows brought coffins and cultivated their experiences to see the light of day once again. Without our Duan clan, this world might not have been as prosperous as it is today. Duan Sanchang said shamelessly. Brother Duan, how long will it take to get to the rough and random profound land from here? Chen Xiang asked. Rough and random profound land is in the south. If we were to travel at full speed, it would take about 8 to 9 months. Duan Sanchang could not help but sigh. If only we had left a few days earlier. A few days ago, the transmission array was still usable. Brother Duan, you should know those Tong Tian aristocratic family very well, right? Can you tell me something? Chen Xiang was very curious about these Tong Tian aristocratic family, because they had those ancient spirit grain that even Long Shui did not understand. It is said that there were many races at that time, and the human race was the weakest of them all. But after a period of time, many experts of the human race appeared, fleuries. Hi+ing at the peak, suppressing the other foreign races and occupying a large piece of land. It is said that they received the blessing of the heavens, and would not encounter nirvana doom while going against the heavens. Then somehow, the Tong Tian aristocratic family suddenly disappeared and all of them hid inside the profound realm. Furthermore, they have a secret method to find other profound realm and then merge these profound realm into their great profound realm, so they have a lot of resources and are very powerful. Duan Sanchang slowly said. Of course, our Duan clan has been around for a long time, and we have the ability to travel back and forth between profound realm. In order to figure out what happened before the primordial era, we started this business. I have risked my life to visit those old fellows' mausoleum. Brother Shun, don't look at me like that. You must know that tomb robbing is extremely dangerous, and our Duan clan has suffered the deaths of many outstanding talents over the generations, and they have even been sealed off from time to time. The longest time, it was sealed for a full 30,000 years. Chen Xiang was convinced by the Duan clan that even after being sealed up by the heavens, they could still come out and dig grave. The Duan clan continued to talk about the Tong Tian aristocratic family. Let's talk about the Feng clan. There are a few old fellows hiding in their profound realm. All of them have transcended the 9 levels of tribulation and can ascend. However, even if they were to ascend to heaven realm, they would not be able to break through, and would eventually die of old age in the heaven realm. The heavenly maiden and the heavenly son, they will enter the heaven realm sooner or later, because they have the so-called unparalleled potential. They can fly to the heaven realm at a very young age. Furthermore, after going to the heaven realm, they will be groomed by the Tong Tian aristocratic family above, and they will enjoy limitless glory. More than 2 hours after Chen Xiang and the rest left the city of the king, a wave of spatial ripples appeared in the sky above the city of the king. A few elders actually traveled through the void to the city of the king, and from the clothes they wore, one could tell that they were from the Feng clan. Not long after the death of one of the sons of the Feng clan's patriarch, these old fellows sensed it. After the people saw it, they all hid away to prevent the old fellows from getting angry and destroying the entire city. The Feng clan sent people to the super martial school to cause trouble. None of them were able to return, and all of them were killed. However, Feng clan didn't do anything immediately, as if he had something important to do. But now that Chen Xiang had killed their patriarch's son, if Feng clan didn't do anything, he would be mocked by the people of the world. The Feng clan sent people to the super martial school to cause trouble. None of them were able to return, and all of them were killed. However, Feng clan didn't do anything immediately, as if he had something important to do. But now that Chen Xiang had killed their patriarch's son, if Feng clan didn't do anything, he would be mocked by the people of the world. Within the city of the king, when the elders from the Feng clan arrived, they immediately released a bounty on the spot. After cutting off Chen Xiang's head, they would be able to obtain 5 relived danas, and by capturing Chen Xiang alive, they could get 10, and by providing effective clues, they could get 2. This bounty was very tempting, because relived dan were high-quality ground-level pills. They were all sold in the market, the price was very high, and 10 relived dan were expensive. It was enough to make many old fellows go all out. As a rich pill owner, Chen Xiang did not know that he had been offered a pill as a reward, but even if he knew that, he was not afraid. He wished for more people to come and find him. I say, Sanchang, your Duan clan is so good at digging graves, but do you not have any powerful methods to cross S.P.A.C.? Chen Xiang followed behind Duan Sanchang, and after walking for 3 days, Duan Sanchang slowly took his time. He said by a few places, and liked to climb up the mountain to take a look, and while he was ing, he was actually searching for a grave. Chen Xiang was a little worried that he would be sealed by the heavens if he stayed with this guy for too long. To be honest, this is the first time I've left the Duan clan to gain experience. Although I've dug other people's tombs before, their scale is still too small, and this continent of the king is also a very ancient place. I want to see if I can find a large tombstone here. Duan Sanchang laughed. Chun Xiang went to the rough and random profound land mainly to look for some spirit medicines. The middle grade ground level S were considered very rare spirit medicines. Even if he went to the Pill City to look, he might not be able to find them. Perhaps we can try using the Luotian Gate and Spatial Elemental Bead. However, it will affect the lifespan of the Luotian Gate and the Spatial Elemental Bead. Perhaps before too many times, the Luotian Gate will break. Long Shui said. Chun Xiang anxiously took out the Luotian Gate and Spatial Elemental Bead, and said, "Whatever, if we continue to follow this guy, I will definitely dig quite a few graves. I don't know when I will be able to get to the rough and random profound land." Luotian Gate needed to absorb a large amount of energy to transform it into spatial force and open AC Gate. However, the spatial force inside the spatial orb was pure and vast, so it was much more convenient to use with spatial magic treasures. Chun Xiang activated his Luotian Gate, allowing it to absorb a large amount of energy from the spatial orbs. Chun Xiang controlled the Luotian Gate to frantically absorb energy, and then moved it to the closest continent in the rough and random profound land. Seeing a dimensional door slowly forming, Duan Sanchang was so shocked that his mouth dropped open. "I say, Brother Shen, this magical treasure of yours is too heaven-defying. However, it seems that you won't be able to withstand it too many times." Duan Sanchang anxiously walked over, and saw that the Luotian Gate disc in Chun Xiang's hand was trembling, obviously because he had poured too much energy into it. Duan Sanchang was a descendant of a tomb-robbing family and was a knowledgeable person. When he saw Chun Xiang's spatial origin orbs and Luotian Gate, his eyes immediately lit up, as if he had discovered the tomb of an emperor. "Hurry up and go in, there should be more tombs in rough and random profound land, don't waste your time here," Chun Xiang said. Duan Sanchang chuckled and stepped into the spatial gate with Chun Xiang. Bang! From behind the SPAC Gate, Chun Xiang and Duan Sanchang fell into a large swamp. CRAP, all the continents are merged together. That means those coordinates were moved. This is trouble. Chun Xiang slapped his head and shouted. "We are in trouble, there is something here that makes me uneasy. Brother Shun, look at the ground. This should be the mark left by a very, very venomous snake, and there's more than one of it." Duan Sanchang's face instantly turned green and filled with fear. Chun Xiang curled his lips and said, "Isn't it just a snake? What is there to be afraid of? You don't understand. These snakes are all extremely terrifying creatures. They are all at the edge of the flood dragon's transformation. Their bodies are extremely terrifying, and they are also extremely poisonous." Duan Sanchang looked around vigilantly. He could sense the qi left behind by the giant snakes, and he could judge their strength. Long Shui suddenly spoke out from inside the ring. "This is a poisonous snake nest. According to its aura, there should be at least 10 Zijin poison boa here." Zijin poison boa. It was said that this kind of poisonous python was the easiest way to evolve into a dragon. It had a lot of sharp teeth the moment it was born, and a mature Zijin poison boa would be able to easily crush a Nirvana tribulation ranker. "It's the Zijin poison boa." Duan Sanchang's face turned green. He fiercely swallowed his saliva, and his entire body plus varied as he pointed to a stone. "Look, that is a piece of skin that has been shed. The purple gold was originally even brighter and is about to turn into a dragon." Chun Xiang anxiously took out the Luotian Gate, but realized that the Luotian Gate was not absorbing the energy from the spatial orb. Obviously there was a problem with it being forced to use it. "Then why aren't you leaving yet?" Chun Xiang anxiously ran, with Duan Sanchang following closely behind. "I say, Brother Shen, the teleportation spot you set up is really too good. It's actually the nest of Zijin poison boa," Duan Sanchang said as he ran. He had been together with Chun Xiang for 3 days. The two of them were very opportunistic, because Duan Sanchong was also the type of person that was always chased by people. After all, he specially dug the grave of their ancestor. An hour later, they arrived in a forest, panting heavily. Not a single Zijin poison boa appeared, so they could be considered to have escaped danger. At this moment, a group of people wearing a white robe suddenly appeared around them. Most of them were young men, a few were middle-aged, and the leading two were old men. "Who are you? You dare to come to our White Sea Imperial Lands territory, and hand over your storage magic treasure for us to inspect? If you have anything else that you want to take away from us, then you must return to our White Sea Imperial Land and capture you." One of the old men looked gloomy, and shouted at Chen Xiang and the rest. The White Sea Imperial Land and the Peach Blossom Imperial Land are the two great saints of the south, and this is actually their territory? Is this the profound realm of Baihai? Duan Sanchong looked at his surroundings and felt that it didn't look like it at all. Of course not. How can you bunch of trash enter the White Sea Imperial Land? This is the closest region to rough and random profound land, and belongs to our White Sea Imperial Land. Cut the C.R.A.P. and quickly hand over the storage magic treasure. The old man said angrily. Chen Xiang and Duan Sanchong were both a little angry in their hearts. Why did your White Sea Imperial Land occupy this place? I have to give you all the storage magic treasure after I enter this place? However, the two leading old men were not weak, judging from their chi, they had at least pas. Said the 5 tribulations and 6 tribulations, the middle-aged men had also just pas. Said through the Nirvana doom. As for the young people, most of them were like the extreme realm, with dozens of them altogether. Chen Xiang and Duan Sanchong looked at each other, and the corners of their mouths slightly raised. Old Bastard, Old Turtle, the name of the guy from the White Sea Imperial Land should be Baihai, stupid Bastard, Duan Sanchong immediately scolded. They don't look like turtles, but they have rather long faces and look like 2 horses. No, they look like 2 donkeys. Chen Xiang laughed. The 2 elders from the White Sea Imperial Land were immediately shocked, and then they flew into a rage, their rage soaring to the sky. Someone actually dared to scold them like that in front of everyone. This was something they had never encountered before. The youngsters also turned pale with fright. These 2 elders were high and mighty, but now they were being humiliated like this by someone else. Catch them! I want to skin them alive! An old man roared. Chen Xiang and Duan Sanchong immediately ran towards the Zijin poison boa's nest. Chen Xiang and Duan Sanchong were going to lure all of these White Sea Imperial Lands people to the Zijin poison boa's lair. They were extremely confident in their own speed, they were people that ran for their lives all year round. If their skills were insufficient, they would have been captured long ago. Chen Xiang and Duan Sanchong were going to lure all of these White Sea Imperial Lands people to the Zijin poison boa's lair. They were extremely confident in their own speed, they were people that ran for their lives all year round. If their skills were insufficient, they would have been captured long ago. You 2 little bastards, don't run, an old man shouted. He did not expect the 2 cursing people to run so fast. Old Turtle, don't even try to chase us. Just look at your speed. In our eyes, you're slower than a turtle. Chen Xiang mocked. I'll cripple you. An old man shouted in anger, his expression extremely ugly. Very quickly, the 2 White Sea Imperial Land elders felt that something was amiss and immediately stopped. Stop chasing, don't fall for the trap. The old man's expression changed, and he said, In front of us is the Zijin poison boa's nest. If we were to be discovered by the Zijin poison boa, it would be troublesome. That's right, Zijin poison boa are known as the lightning poison dragon. They are very fast. These 2 little trash actually want to kill us. The other old man was even angrier, but he was covered in cold sweat, if he was stared at by a large group of Zijin poison boa. Chen Xiang and Duan Sanchong were both rather disappointed. because their plan had been seen through. They couldn't beat those two old fellows, but they were confident in their own speed, so they weren't afraid of entering the den of snakes. What should we do? Duan San stopped. Chang Zi, go deal with them. Don't get too far away from here. I'll go lure the Zijin poison boa out. Chen Xiang smiled slightly. What? As long as you get close to the snake nest, don't go in. The poisonous gas that the Zijin poison boa spew out is not a joke. Duan Sanchang did not agree with Chen Xiang's suggestion. I am an alchemist, I am not afraid of poison. Chen Xiang chuckled. Duan Sanchang had heard about Chen Xiang's achievements a long time ago, and now that he suddenly recalled that Chen Xiang had another heaven-defying item. He laughed. Alright, be careful. Duan Sanchang went to stall the fellows of the White Sea Imperial Land and lead them in going around in circles. However, Chen Xiang instead entered the Zijin poison boa's nest and took out a small shaping dan to attract its attention. Not long after, Long Shui shouted in shock. There are too many, around 10 of them, each of them are as thick as a water jar, take the small shaping dan and run. Chen Xiang immediately flew up, and just moments after he ran, a purple-gold poisonous miasma floated over, 12 of them appeared, their bodies were filled with purple-gold scales, the water vats were thick, and their eyes were also purple-gold. It was extremely scary. The 12 Zijin poison boa swam like bolts of lightning and followed closely behind Chen Xiang. Although none of the Zijin poison boa could catch up to him, he was overwhelmed with shock, all his hair standing on end. He couldn't help but increase his speed by a lot, and he quickly pulled some distance away from the Zijin poison boa. Chang Zi, you're here. When Chen Xiang saw Duan Sanchang, he quickly called Duan Sanchang. Duan Sanchang also felt that this was very exciting. Chen Xiang's mind suddenly flashed, and anxiously said, Seniors and seniors of the White Sea Imperial Land, I think there is a misunderstanding between us. We have indeed obtained some things in this area. We have picked up a few small shaping dans. If you need them, take them out. Chen Xiang threw the small shaping dan out. The two old men were immediately shocked. It was indeed a high-quality small shaping dan. Their White Sea Imperial Land also had a few profound beasts in captivity, and these small shaping dan were pretty useful to them, especially those of such high quality. The two elders anxiously picked it up, while Chen Xiang pulled Duan Sanchang and ran frantically. At the same time, 10 purple-gold light rays flashed. It was the Zijin poison boa. Seeing that, the two old men from White Sea Imperial Land immediately started cursing. They thought that the Zijin poison boas were here for the small shaping dan, and furthermore, it was Chen Xiang who had deliberately lured the Zijin poison boa over. Little b, A-S-T, A-R-D, you've killed us. Everyone, quickly run. Even without the elder's explanation, those young and middle-aged men had already started to run away. At this time, the elder was also unwilling to part with the small shaping dan, so he could only run away. What made Chen Xiang depressed was that the 12 Zijin poison boa were actually chasing after him. It's troublesome, your aura has been remembered by them, and you have also been to his den. It seems that the small shaping dan technique will not work. Duan Sanchang said. Chen Xiang anxiously said, Chang Zi, follow those old fellows. With that, he changed his direction and ran in the direction of White Sea Imperial Lands Group. The two old men were secretly happy that Chen Xiang had not been able to steal a single grain of rice, but seeing that Chen Xiang and Duan Sanchang had suddenly caught up to them, they wanted to curse him out of anger. Seniors, I will do as you say. After luring these fellows over, how can you just abandon us and run? You guys are not nice. Chen Xiang shouted. He was naturally saying this to the Zijin poison boa. These Zijin poison boa all had their senses opened, so they naturally knew what this meant. Don't speak nonsense. An old man hastily shouted. Seeing that the Zijin poison boa behind them were even faster, Chen Xiang knew that his words were effective, and Chen Xiang and Duan Sanchang was running in front of them. It, why are these two F** King B, A, S, T, A, R, D, S running faster than rabbits? One of the elderly men scolded, but the slower young men groaned in their hearts, using all of their strength to run for their lives, but a few of them were still melted by the poison chi from the Zijin poison boa. If it weren't for the fact that they wanted to save their lives, the two old men would have already killed the two laughing guys. Isn't this the territory of your White Sea Imperial Land? These Zijin poison boa are also yours, you guys take care of them properly, we won't be accompanying you guys. Duan Sanchang laughed. Although Zijin poison boas were fast, Chen Xiang and Duan Sanchang could escape from them. People like them did not have the ability to escape, nor did they dare to cause trouble. In the blink of an eye, only the Nirvana stage remained. They were still running for their lives and the others were all dead. Chen Xiang and Duan Sanchang had long since escaped far away, although the dimensional door had deviated a little, it was just right. Originally, Chen Xiang had only planned to go to the city closest to rough and random profound land, but he did not expect to come to the outskirts of rough and random profound land. The overall strength of this White Sea Imperial Land is not to be underestimated. Their profound realm by high has a large white ocean inside that is filled with extremely dense spirit energy. Duan Sanchang said. The White Sea Imperial Land was the same as the Peach Blossom Imperial Land. They both had a very good profound realm and had inherited it for many years. They established a sect inside with a very solid foundation. The sound of battle came from ahead of them. The aura made their hearts tremble, it was actually the experts of the Nirvana stage fighting. White Sea Imperial Land's White Sea innate chi is as vast and pure as water. This is a battle between disciples of the White Sea Imperial Land. Duan Sanchang said as he furrowed his brows, the other person. This seems to be the Qin clan's burning immortal innate chi. When cultivated to mastery, the innate chi would not emit any sound, but it can produce terrifying flames. When the immortal came across this kind of innate chi, he would be burnt. It's the White Sea Imperial Land and Qin family's people who are fighting. Duan Sanchang said with certainty, then walked over. Let's go take a look, it seems that these two guys are experts. Chen Xiang nodded and walked forward with Duan Sanchang. In front of him, a burst of white light flashed and waves of violent auras surged over like a russ. Hi+ing C, accompanied by a wave of scalding hot air. It was just as Duan Sanchang had said before, one wave of auras was as vast as the ocean while the other was as fierce as a raging inferno. Chen Xiang and Duan Sanchang saw that in front of them were two handsome young men fighting. Even though it was an intense battle, they were still graceful and their movements were extremely unrestrained. Chen Xiang and Duan Sanchang saw that in front of them were two handsome young men fighting. Even though it was an intense battle, they were still graceful and their movements were extremely unrestrained. It's White Sea Imperial Land and the son of the Qin family exchanging pointers. Duan Sanchang's expression became serious. The two heavenly sons of the two families were actually so powerful, which made him feel apprehensive. Chen Xiang was also very shocked. He knew that the heavenly sons chosen by the ancient powers were very young, but their strength were terrifying. It seemed like they were Nirvana stage S who had undergone 4 or 5 tribulations, and they were strong existences at the same level. Even if it was the seniors with the same cultivation as them, they would easily be killed in an instant. Is this the power of the Son of Heaven? Chen Xiang's face was solemn, his eyes full of shock. White Sea Prince's hands seemed to be wrapped by 2 silver-white full moons, emitting a silver-white light aura. His aura churned, the innate chi was as vast as the ocean. The son of the Qin family had fists as bright as the sun, with flames spewing out and multicolored light shooting in all directions. He was fighting against White Sea Prince head-on, and although every move was extremely tyrannical, it was clear that they were just sparring. Songhai Rus. Hi+ing Dragon. White Sea Prince shouted loudly, and a sea full of multicolored light suddenly appeared behind him, surging up and down. The wind was blowing loudly, and there were still many dragons dancing frantically in the White Sea, causing many streaks of white lightning, and the sound of thunder was resonating. It was a very shocking scene. As if it was real, he spread out his arms, and by Hai's dragon's soaring art rushed towards the son of the Qin family. The water dragons above appeared even more berserk, releasing waves of dragon roars, accompanied with the reverberations of thunder in the sky. Chen Xiang and Duan Sanchong, who were not far away, were also trembling in fear. If it was them, it would not be easy to receive this attack. The Tianzi was just too strong. The son of the Qin family had a solemn expression on his face. He raised his hands into the air and let out a fled cry. His palms emitted fiery red mist. A huge scorching sun suddenly appeared, looking exactly the same as the one hanging in the sky. "Do you want to use fire to suppress the water?" Duan Sanchong exclaimed. The son of the Qin family controlled the blazing sun he had created to fall down, bombarding the picture of a dragon DOS. Hi+ing through the blue sea. The two families' martial arts compet. One tie-in was extremely intense, with innate qi being a battle of fire and water. As the two sides assembled, it was as if the sun had fallen into the sea as waves of mist rose. The violent mist was extremely strong, it blew on the ground Hi+ing out in all directions, and a thick layer of mud was lifted wherever it went. The great battle had not ended, and was still intensely progressing. Both sides still had extremely robust innate qi, and from the looks of it, they were going to fight for a period of time. White Sea Imperial Land and the Qin family's son of the Qin family were fighting earnestly. Chen Xiang and Duan Sanchong was also watching seriously, but at this time, Long Shui suddenly reminded him, there were a few people walking towards them. "Who are you people?" The one who spoke was a middle-aged man. "We're just passing by, so we might as well take a look." Duan Sanchong hastily replied with a smile. Behind the middle-aged man, there were a few young people as well as an old man. They seemed to be the disciples of White Sea Imperial Land who were quite strong. They have all disguised themselves. This big bearded man is a young man. He looks like the Feng clans wanted Chen Xiang. A man's eyes flashed with white light as he spoke. Chen Xiang was shocked. He never thought that he would meet someone with this ability, who could actually see through his transformation technique. "That fellow has a spirit eyes, this is natural," Long Shui said, "so he can see through your transformation technique." Upon hearing the two words, Chen Xiang, the White Sea Prince and the son of the Qin family who were battling stopped in their tracks. "Capture Chen Xiang and have him hand over the immortal saber and Taiji dragon suppressed Kung Fu," the son of the White Sea Imperial Land said indifferently, and continued his fight with the son of the Qin. Hearing this, Chen Xiang immediately ran. The middle-aged man and the other old fellows were all very strong. It was obvious that he could not win against them. "Changzi, you should leave by yourself. Don't worry about me, you can come and find me in the Super Martial School in the future." After Chen Xiang sent the sound transmission to Duan Sanchong, he immediately ran. "Brother Shun, we are friends at first sight. See you in the future. As long as I have the chance, I will definitely pull out all of Feng Clan's tombs." Of course, Duan Sanchong also wanted to follow Chen Xiang, but neither he nor Chen Xiang were those type of people who liked words. "Chase, we must take down Chen Xiang. No matter what methods, we must make him hand over his immortal blade and Taiji dragon suppressed Kung Fu," White Sea Prince shouted in the midst of the battle. Chen Xiang secretly clenched his teeth in his heart. From the words of the White Sea Prince, he hated the White Sea Imperial Land, and swore in his heart that in the future, he would definitely exterminate the White Sea Prince. "One day, I will destroy the entire White Sea Imperial Land." Chen Xiang became even more furious in his heart, it was fine for the Feng clan to think about his divine blade, since there was some conflict between them. However, White Sea Imperial Land had given such an order the moment he heard his name. This caused him to feel incomparable rage. Chun Xiang, you can't escape. These are all members of our White Sea Imperial Land. Hand over the divine blade and Taiji dragon suppressed Kung Fu, and we will let you live. An old man shouted. I have no enmity with you, I didn't offend you, why did you steal my blade and art? Chun Xiang increased his speed and asked. Humph, that celestial blade will only cost you money, leave it for us White Sea Prince to use, only he is worthy, you are not worthy. The old man said indifferently. He spoke with a confident tone, as if it was a matter that should be taken for granted. No matter what, the green dragon demon-slain broadsword was obtained by Chun Xiang, and it was something that he recognized as its master. He even added a dragon soul onto the dragon soul that was added later on, but these ancient powers all thought that he was not worthy and wanted to snatch it away. He never thought that these powerful and ancient factions would not even blush when they tried to snatch things from him. This made him extremely angry. Even if I am not worthy, I will not give you BASTARDS my sword. I will tell you all, from today onwards, your White Sea Imperial Land and I will not rest until we are dead. I will make your White Sea Prince bleed with my treasured blade to prove that I am not worthy. Chun Xiang shouted in anger. Wishful thinking. Based on your words alone, you won't live past today. An old man sneered. The spectators had actually all caught up to him. Chun Xiang ran very fast, causing the people of White Sea Imperial Land to have a headache. However, they felt that Chun Xiang was running at full speed using his innate qi, and would not be able to hold on for long. Let's see who can't live past today, snorted. At the moment, he hated White Sea Imperial Land to the core, and he was not afraid of the people chasing from behind. Far away from the place where the two heavenly suns fought, Chun Xiang entered a wasteland, running at a moderate pace on top of it, purposely not losing out to the people who were chasing after him. Far away from the place where the two heavenly suns fought, Chun Xiang entered a wasteland, running at a moderate pace on top of it, purposely not losing out to the people who were chasing after him. There were so many experts from the White Sea Imperial Land in this area, it was obvious that there were quite a few of them, so it was obvious that this place was very important to the White Sea Imperial Land. Chun Xiang suddenly stopped, and the people chasing him were all middle-aged big-size man, 5 white-haired old man, 10 young people, all of them were powerful, and when they saw Chun Xiang stop to catch his breath, they suddenly flew up and surrounded Chun Xiang. Under the scorching sun, the desolate plains were shrouded in hot air. This place was completely deserted, and no one could save Chun Xiang, as the people of White Sea Imperial Land all thought that it would be hard for Chun Xiang to escape even if he had wings. No more strength? You sure are capable to be able to run for so long, you truly are worthy of being called a person who offended Feng clan. An old man sneered. The leading middle-aged man said, We just received news that Feng clan is offering a bounty to you. As long as you capture them alive, you will be able to obtain 10 relive dan. It seems that we are lucky, haha. Chun Xiang frowned. The Feng clan had actually started to place a bounty on him, and it was even using relive dan. His heart turned cold, since that was the case. He also planned to use relive dan south to place bounty on the Tianzi. He secretly urged the large number of magical corruption gases inside his dantian to float out from his body. They were colorless and tasteless and quickly spread out to their surroundings, enveloping those who were surrounding him. At this moment, a smile appeared on his face. What are you laughing at? Death is at hand. The big guy disdainfully said, obediently hand over the immortal blade and divine arts. Chun Xiang laughed. Who doesn't know when they're about to die? You can forget about obtaining the immortal saber, but I can let you see me, and I can also let you die under my treasured saber." Just as Chun Xiang finished speaking, the 10 young men suddenly shouted out, their bodies started to rot, and very quickly, they became a pile of black rotten meat. Only 2 of the young men managed to react and sat down, revolving innate qi to control the poison gas. Very soon, the middle-aged man and the 5 elders also discovered that their faces had turned ashen. They hurriedly used their powers to resist the poison from spreading through their bodies. Otherwise, when it reached a certain point, they would die from the poison. He immediately flew into a rage and threw a palm towards Chen Xiang. He activated the innate qi. At the same time, he increased the spread of the poison, and at the same time, nourished the magical corruption gas, causing it to become stronger after absorbing the innate qi. In an instant, the old man who was about to attack Chen Xiang became a pool of purplish-black liquid. When the others saw this, their expressions became incomparably ugly. They immediately guessed what poison it was. "Chen Xiang, this is a super-old poison. A magical corruption gas. Do you know what the consequences would be if you use this poison?" The leader, a middle-aged man, had a face full of fear. He was very surprised that Chen Xiang could use this poison as he wished. "Of course I know, but I believe you will keep it a secret for me." Chen Xiang held the green dragon demon-slain broadsword high up in the sky, and under the S.H.I plus any of the sunlight, it shone with an ice-cold green light. The faces of the people from the White Sea Imperial Land were ashen, they could not move at all. Furthermore, when they saw Chen Xiang's treasured blade, they realized that it was even more powerful than in the legends. Chen Xiang pressed his hand on the middle-aged man's head, wanting to search his memories, but just as he was activating the soul-absorbing devil spell, the middle-aged man suddenly fainted, and then, his body turned purple-black. There are imprints in the sea of consciousness of these BASTARDS to prevent their souls from being searched. Bai Yu said. "Humph, you're lucky." Chen Xiang snorted. He waved his blade and cut down an old man's head. "Didn't you guys just say that my death was imminent?" With that, he chopped down another old man with his blade. He was going to ask some questions from the other old men, but none of them were willing to say anything. In a few seconds, he had beheaded all of them. In the end, he had asked the 2 young men forcefully, and the reason they were occupying this large area was because there was a large expanse of fire phoenix purple gold ore. If Chen Xiang was not mistaken, these fire phoenix purple gold were the top ingredients to be used in refining array disc. The last 2 young men's heads were also chopped off by Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang installed all these heads well, because these heads were not stained with magical corruption gas, so they did not rot, and he wanted to hang them in the most eye-catching place, so that others would know the consequences of provoking him. Chen Xiang. After cleaning up the scene, not only did he not leave any trace of magical corruption gas behind, he had even destroyed the remaining souls to prevent them from being summoned by the White Sea Imperial Land. If the news of him possessing a magical corruption gas were to spread, even the Super Martial School would not be able to protect him. Fire Phoenix Purple Gold are high-grade ores. They contain special energy, and without high-grade storage magic treasure, they can't be stored inside. There should be a warehouse of Fire Phoenix Purple Gold nearby. I'll go look for them first, then you can go to the nearby cities to hang up those heads. Long Shui said, "We must let them know what happens when they S.N. ATC. H. The Taiji Dragon suppressed Kung Fu and Green Dragon Demon slain broadsword." When it was near dawn, Chen Xiang had nailed the heads of all the elders from the White Sea Imperial Land onto the city walls. Furthermore, he had sealed them with an array, so no one without any strength would be able to take them off. "This is the result of stealing my blade and Taiji Dragon suppressed Kung Fu." Chen Xiang even left these words on the city wall, before turning into a bird and entering the forest. Because there were so many treasures in rough and random profound land, the nearby cities were all crowded with people. The matter quickly spread. Chen Xiang did not expect the people he killed to have status in White Sea Imperial Land. That middle-aged man was actually the Son of Heaven's uncle. Those few elders were all elders and had very high statuses in the White Sea Imperial Land. Now, their heads were actually nailed to the wall by someone else. After seeing that line of words, everyone immediately thought of Chen Xiang, because Chen Xiang had the immortal saber and Taiji dragon suppressed kung fu. So many big powers were staring at him, wanting to snatch it away. On top of the city wall, the crowd stood still and watched, discussing amongst themselves. These people are all experts from the White Sea Imperial Land, they have all said through the 4th level of Nirvana tribulation. That uncle of the White Sea Prince said the 5th level, yet he fell to such a state. It seems like they were all decapitated by a single blade strike. Yeah, how much strength does it take to cut off their heads? These are all experts and not ordinary people. Cutting their heads is like slicing radishes, it's too shocking. You deserve it. You stole someone else's celestial blade and delay technique. Your death was considered a bargain. Duan Sanchong was shocked when he saw these heads. He never thought that Chen Xiang had hidden his strength so deeply that he would actually have the ability to chop off their heads. Chen Xiang possessed 2 treasures, the Taiji dragon suppressed kung fu and the green dragon demon slain broadsword, so he would definitely be hunted down by the Tong Tian aristocratic family and the Shring domain. These 2 things were supreme treasures in the eyes of these ancient great powers, and they would use any means they could get their hands on these 2 items. Chen Xiang possessed 2 treasures, the Taiji dragon suppressed kung fu and the green dragon demon slain broadsword, so he would definitely be hunted down by the Tong Tian aristocratic family and the Shring domain. These 2 things were supreme treasures in the eyes of these ancient great powers, and they would use any means they could get their hands on these 2 items. Right now, there were many people searching for traces of Chen Xiang in the vicinity of rough and random profound land. If they could catch 10 relived Dan-s alive and 5 heads, it would be enough for many people to risk their lives. Chen Xiang did not hide inside the city, but instead went into the forest that was dominated by the White Sea Imperial Land once again. He wanted to dig up all the Fire Phoenix purple gold mines here, and the Heavenly Emperor himself had ordered to capture him. Fire Phoenix purple gold are very important to them, because they can be used to make array discs that are easy to carry, and they are very rare too. Rough and random profound land is not simple, there is actually such a large mine, no wonder there are so many elders guarding inside. Su Meiyao said. Chen Xiang took out the imperial crystal, and was able to detect where there were the most Fire Phoenix purple gold. After he sent his divine sense in, he quickly sensed that there were scattered Fire Phoenix purple gold in the depths, the biggest being a millstone the size of it, and the smallest being a fist. There were around 20,000 gene of Fire Phoenix purple gold in here, which was considered very little for such a large area. But for many array masters, this was considered very much, because 500 gene of Fire Phoenix purple gold would be enough to make a large array disc. 4 small array discs, 100 gene would be enough. Fire Phoenix purple gold S were a type of soft material, it would become very soft when heated, and was not suitable for forging weapons, but it was extremely suitable for carving array patterns. In addition, Fire Phoenix purple gold could also become big and small, making it extremely convenient to carry around. This was also why this kind of material was so precious. There are still 20,000 gene left. They have around 10,000 gene in their warehouse. Chen Xiang pondered on how to take the Fire Phoenix purple gold out of the warehouse. These Fire Phoenix purple gold that had not been treated would find it very difficult to fit into the storage magic treasure, because this material was very magical, it could become larger and smaller, and ordinary storage magic treasure would not be able to fit inside. But the ring could. This ring was a sacred weapon even more powerful than immortal weapons. Leave the underground ones to me, I want you to deal with the ones on top. Long Shui giggled. then quietly ran out from inside the ring, turned into a streak of white light, and entered the ground. Long Xue's strength had always been mysterious, and she also had a very unique storage magic treasure. Qin Xiang knew that her storage magic treasure contained a lot of delicious food. Qin Xiang used the Heaven Tour method to check his surroundings, but he did not find any powerful people, so the two elders guarding the warehouse were the strongest. White Sea Imperial Land, I want to let you all know the consequences of offending me, Qin Xiang. Qin Xiang's body flashed with light and turned into the appearance of the White Sea Prince, slowly walking in the gloomy forest, heading towards the storage area that was protected by the array. This warehouse was made of stone bricks, and there were many powerful formations on the walls. Even a Nirvana Tribulation expert would have to put in a lot of effort to enter it. Qin Xiang knew that the White Sea Prince held a very high position in the White Sea Imperial Land. If not, he would not be able to order around a few elders. Now that he had turned into the White Sea Prince, the elders who saw him walking over from afar anxiously would walk over. Hurry up and move the Fire Phoenix Purple Gold, all of you come here. Qin Xiang purposely revealed a serious expression, calling everyone over so that he could easily release the magical corruption gas and kill them all. Everyone here knew that Qin Xiang had killed an important figure of the White Sea Imperial Land. It's all because of Qin Xiang, son of heaven. You don't have to worry, this fellow's immortal blade and delay technique will be yours sooner or later. Although I don't know what tricks he used, but under absolute strength, he will definitely die. An elder said. That's right, that immortal blade is a high-grade immortal weapon. It would only be a waste in his hands, and sooner or later, it would be our White Sea Imperial lands. The other year's elder also hurriedly said, they were all flattering the Son of Heaven. Qin Xiang sneered in his heart. He was going to see how these two old fellows would react. After the people surrounded them, Qin Xiang released the magical corruption gas, and the magical corruption gas quietly entered their bodies. Dozens of people suddenly fell to the ground and struggled. However, their bodies soon turned stiff and turned purple-black in color. Only the two powerful elders were able to quickly react and stabilize the spread of the poison. Son of Heaven, we were poisoned. This is the magical corruption gas. Son of Heaven, you have the Heaven Levels detoxification pill in your hands. Quickly give it to us to consume. One of the elders looked around at the dead bodies around him. His face was ashen, his forehead was covered in sweat, and his face was filled with fear. Who exactly is using the magical corruption gas? This is something the heaven and earth cannot tolerate. Son of Heaven, hurry up and help us cure the poison. That guy is hiding around us. The other elder almost moaned and shouted, because they could feel the terror of the magical corruption gas. If they were slightly careless, they might become like the people on the ground. Qin Xiang laughed. The person who used the poison is far away from us. As he spoke, he had already changed back to his original appearance. He smiled and said, Hee, all of you have worked hard on mining these Fire Phoenix Purple Gold for so long. I will use them properly. You are Qin Xiang. Bastard. One of the elders immediately flew into a rage, and with a flash of green light, the elder's head was chopped off. Don't you guys love flattering the Son of Heaven? Sooner or later, I will send him down to accompany you. I'll send you guys on your way. Rest assured, I'll give you guys a quick death, there won't be any pain. Qin Xiang laughed. White Sea Imperial Land will not let you off. The old man was so angry that his face turned green, but more of it was fear. Qin Xiang waved his green dragon demon-slain broadsword and chopped off the head of the old man. Then, he broke the formation on the warehouse and took away all the Fire Phoenix Purple Gold that weighed over 10,000 kilograms. These Fire Phoenix Purple Gold were all as hot as flames, but they were all purplish gold in color. After Qin Xiang stored them in his ring, Long Xue also ran over. Long Shui wore a set of blue dresses. At this time, she was already a slender and pretty woman. Her beautiful jade face carried a sweet smile, making her seem somewhat cute and attractive. Originally, Chen Xiang thought that it would take a long time before she would grow up. If someone who wasn't familiar with Long Shui, they would definitely think her to be a cute, naughty girl, but Chen Xiang knew that this little naughty dragon was very bad, bad to the bones. "You've got them all?" Chen Xiang asked. Is it surprising to see me like this?" Long Shui laughed, and even threw a flirtatious glance at Chen Xiang. Then, he shrugged his chest, and a wave rippled out. "I'm not surprised. Don't try to seduce me. I'm not interested in you, a little bad dragon." Chen Xiang crossed his chest, looking completely uninterested. "I don't believe it." Long Shui stuck out her tongue, giggled, and then entered the ring. Chen Xiang cleaned up the corpses on the ground, leaving nothing behind. He even set a fire in the forest. "These two old fellows, there are restrictions on the storage magic treasure as well. Hi, I've spent too much." Chen Xiang looked at the two self-destructed storage rings in his hand and sighed. "These two old fellows, there are restrictions on the storage magic treasure as well. Hi, I've spent too much." Chen Xiang looked at the two self-destructed storage rings in his hand and sighed. Many rankers would use this type of storage magic treasure. This was something that only appeared during this period of time to prevent others from obtaining the things inside. Not long after Chen Xiang left the forest, he sensed a very familiar aura. "Isn't that the aura of a Zijin poison boa? What a ghostly fella." Chen Xiang ran. He could not defeat these Zijin poison boa, even if he used magical corruption gases. He might not be able to kill them in an instant. They actually have 3 transformations, and they seem to be very fierce towards you," Long Shui said in shock. Before, Chen Xiang had taken out a few small shaping danes, so these pills were naturally precious in the eyes of others. But in his eyes, it was just like that. He guessed that the Zijin poison boa had already killed the elder of White Sea Imperial Land and swallowed the small shaping dan. "They should be thanking me. Without me, would they have transformed so quickly?" Chen Xiang cursed a few times in a low voice. The 3 men in purple gold clothing that chased after him were all BRIMMING with killing intent, as if they wanted to tear him into 10,000 pieces. "Didn't you just go to their old nest to look around?" Chen Xiang saw that the 3 people behind him were chasing him closely and felt speechless. These Zijin poison boa had unique abilities. They could actually feel his aura from afar. It's very possible that it's because the fire phoenix purple gold are gone. That's something they used to hatch their eggs, or they think you're plotting something against their eggs, Long Shui guessed. Chen Xiang ran wildly on the wasteland for more than half an hour, but the 3 Zijin poison boa in human form were chasing after him relentlessly. Their speed was even too fast for him to shake off in such a short period of time. "There's someone ahead. From the aura, it seems to be the son of the Qin family," Long Shui said. The son of the Qin family's head, Qin Meng, was a very fierce and popular fellow. Chen Xiang had seen him fight with the White Sea Prince before. "That's great, we can go and harm him." Chen Xiang seemed to have seen his savior. If this wasn't rough and random profound land, he would have already escaped using the water escape technique. This was the rough and random profound land. If one accidentally used the water escape technique to enter the depths of the rough and random profound land, it would be extremely dangerous. "Not only the son of the Qin, the White Sea Prince is here too," Long Shui added. Chen Xiang had already seen that a group of people were plusing towards him. He was secretly happy in his heart, so he increased his speed and rushed towards the group of people. At this moment, he had turned into an old man. As long as he didn't have the spirit eyes or demon eye, he wasn't afraid of being seen through. White Sea Prince and the son of the Qin family were originally in the city, but when they saw the thick smoke coming from the city, they hurried over, did not expect to see 3 poisonous people chasing after an old man. When they saw the poisonous fog, they guessed that the 3 purple-gold clothed men were Zijin poison boas that had taken human form. Chen Xiang quickly rushed to the front of White Sea Prince and the Qin family. He did not expect the 2 to be so sinister and vicious, striking out with their palms at the same time, wanting to kill him. The 2 heavenly sons saw that Chen Xiang had lured the Zijin poison boa over, and became furious. They wanted to kill Chen Xiang, but they did not expect that since Chen Xiang was able to dodge using such a strange movement skill, he would be able to throw his palm that he had been storing energy for a long time towards the incoming Zijin poison boa. This made Chen Xiang extremely happy, because the 3 Zijin poison boa were so angry that they rushed towards the 2 heavenly sons, spitting out a dragon-like poisonous substance. White Sea Prince and the son of the Qin hurriedly jumped into the air, but their followers were all melted by the purple-gold poison. Chen Xiang saw that there were a few Zijin poison boas in the distance that had yet to take form. Hi+ing towards him. No matter how fast he ran, even though he had impenetrable, he did not dare to try the Zijin poison boa's fearsome teeth. Ned old fogey, he killed us all. White Sea Prince looked at Chen Xiang, who was running like a rabbit in the distance. He wanted to slap this unlucky old fellow to death, but at the moment they had no choice but to run. Although they were the sons of heaven, they did not dare to face these powerful Zijin poison boa. Chen Xiang burned their entire lair and dug out all their fire phoenix purple gold. These Zijin poison boa were all enraged, and didn't show any mercy as long as they saw a human. Of course, the most furious ones were the White Sea Imperial Land. They had sent so many people to mine the precious fire phoenix purple gold, but other than the Son of Heaven, not a single one was left alive. That piece of forest was completely burnt, and all the fire phoenix purple gold were dug up. Not even a single bit was left to them. When this matter spread out, the other Tong Tian aristocratic family, Xing Domain and the other great powers rejoiced in the misfortune, but they felt very sorry for the fire phoenix purple gold. It was fortunate that they didn't get their hands on it, otherwise they would feel even more sorry for it. White Sea Imperial Land had just been severely slapped on the face by Chen Xiang, and all the clan elders were nailed to the city walls, causing people to have no choice but to associate them with Chen Xiang. Only Chen Xiang and the rest would dare to fight against White Sea Imperial Land, but how did he do that? One must know that it was very difficult to dig out Fire Phoenix purple gold in a short period of time. Inside the Green Summit City, many strong Tioniers and outstanding youths from various major powers had arrived one after another. One was for the rough and random Profound Land, and the other was for Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang had immortal equipment and divine arts on him, and he was even suspected of having a large number of Fire Phoenix purple gold. If they could still grab Chen Xiang and obtain the Relive Dan as they wished, it would have been much more crowded if they could still use the transmission array as they pleased. However, right now, only those powers that had inherited ancient legacies had the ability to teleport here. Chen Xiang was currently walking on a green GRA's land with a stalk of GRA's in his mouth while humming a little tune. In order to prevent Zijin poison boa from tracking him down, he walked around the outer ring of the rough and random Profound Land for around 10 days. However, this was not what he wanted, because he suddenly saw a woman in white clothes floating on top of the green hill in front of him. This woman's eyes were bright and her teeth were white. Her skin was as smooth as ice, and her white clothes fluttered in the wind like a fairy. She exuded an ethereal and refined aura. If it was a normal situation, Chen Xiang would definitely brazenly go over and chat with a beauty. However, this woman in front of him, who had a jade-like appearance and looked like a fairy, gave him a very dangerous feeling. Young Master Chen, the ability you possess really surprises this little girl. This girl's eyes were watery as she looked at Chen Xiang with a smile. Chen Xiang had become an old guy, but he was still seen through. This woman is not simple at all. Although she doesn't have a spirit eye, she has a very strange spiritual sense. I can feel that you have undergone some changes. Long Xue's voice was full of vigilance. Chen Xiang laughed, and changed back to his original appearance, asking, I wonder how the miss knew I was here? I guessed it, the Zijin poison boa, that was chasing Hai Weidong and Qin Meng should have been lured over by you. As expected, the fire phoenix purple gold is in your hands. Her voice was filled with a light and agile aura, making people not get tired of listening to her. However, Chen Xiang wanted to hide far away from this terrifying woman. Chen Xiang could already guess that this was the White Sea Imperial Land's heavenly girl. Her power was the same as White Sea Prince's. Her name was Hai Weidong and her name was Ji Meixian. Ji Meixian's long hair fluttered, her white clothes fluttered, and her pair of beautiful eyes stared at Chen Xiang. She said softly, I think young Master Shen should have already guessed who I am now, right? Chen Xiang shook his head and laughed. I don't know who you are, I'm in a rush now, excuse me. He had just turned around when a white shadow flashed past, and this refined heavenly maiden by Hai appeared in front of him, blocking his path. It seemed that it would be very difficult for him to leave today. Ji Meixian's white clothes fluttered, and her beautiful face carried a playful smile, looking extremely alluring. Ji Meixian's white clothes fluttered, and her beautiful face carried a playful smile, looking extremely alluring. Do you really want to leave just like that? You killed so many people of our White Sea Imperial Land, took away our White Sea Imperial Land's treasures. Do you think I would let you go? Ji Meixian said leisurely, his voice extremely gentle, but to Chen Xiang, it was filled with killing intent. Chen Xiang laughed dryly. Then what must I do before you let me go? Ji Meixian's voice was sweet and gentle as she laughed softly. If you are willing to offer up the Fire Phoenix purple goldess that you have obtained with both hands and then hand over your immortal blade and divine arts, and if these things can make me happy, I might even let you go. Chen Xiang shook his head and sighed. These things are my life roots. Girl, you want me to use my life roots to make you happy so you can let me go, right? Seems like I can only suffer for a moment. When Ji Meixian heard these words, her expression instantly turned cold, as a trace of shame and anger flashed past her beautiful eyes. Impudent! Chen Xiang, don't refuse a toast and refuse a drink. This is the first time someone dares to be so disrespectful to me. Ji Meixian shouted coldly. As a heavenly woman, she was aloof, as pure as ice and pure jade. Even if someone had ill intentions towards her, they would hide it deep in their heart and never dare to say it out loud. Chen Xiang glanced at her chest and laughed. Unimportant to you? A person like you can't even compare to my female slave, but you can still barely be my foot slave. After Ji Meixian heard this, she was so angry that her body trembled slightly. If these words were to spread, Chen Xiang would definitely be chased by Ji Meixian's pursuers all the way to the ends of the earth. Ji Meixian was the heavenly daughter of the White Sea Imperial Land. Not only did she have a fairy-like appearance, her talent was also extraordinary, and even though she possessed power that would make the elders jealous, she could only barely be his foot was. Hi+ing servant in Chen Xiang's eyes. You. Alright, looks like you're purposely seeking death. Ji Meixian saw that Chen Xiang's eyes were filled with ridicule, and became even more embarrassed and angry. Dongfang Xinyue and Hua Xiangyue, this pair of beautiful female slaves, one was a Dan King, and the other was a grandmaster in artifact forging and forging. Without mentioning how strong they were, just one palm could kill a heavenly girl. There was no need to talk about their looks or figures. Chen Xiang really didn't think much of her. Towards this kind of girl who thought highly of herself, he would always adopt an inhumane attacking method. Little girl, don't be angry. You don't look good at all when you're angry. A truly beautiful woman, when she's angry, there's always a certain charm. When you're angry, she's like a monkey whose T has been touched by someone else, Chen Xiang said with a smile as he retreated. Ji Meixian was stunned. Monkey. Someone actually described her as a monkey. This caused her to feel like she was struck by lightning as she stood there in a daze. Monkey. Monkey. Ji Meixian muttered in a daze, while Long Shui and the others also giggled. This description was truly too cruel. Chen Xiang coughed dryly and said with a serious face, "Strictly speaking, it's a young female monkey dressed in white." Shua! The furious mother monkey screamed, and thrusted her sword towards Chen Xiang. The sword was extremely powerful, but Ji Meixian was furious with her attack, and she was extremely confident in her looks, since she was surrounded by people every day, and she could hear many words of flattery. But Chen Xiang had completely infuriated her. This was clearly humiliating her. She was no longer wasting time talking to Chen Xiang. She had already pulled out her sword and attacked. She had originally planned to capture Chen Xiang alive. "Miss, don't be angry, I might not have described it well enough." Chen Xiang dodged the sword and anxiously shouted, "You are a beautiful female monkey." "No. It's a beautiful female immortal monkey. I will kill you." Ji Meixian's beautiful eyes spewed fire. She consecutively thrust it out 10 times, and the sword energy released by each sword was able to penetrate a huge mountain. If Chen Xiang did not dodge, he would also suffer a considerable amount of damage. What a strong woman! At the very least, she has transcended the 5 nirvana tribulations, and she is a sword cultivator. Long Shui exclaimed. Chen Xiang continued to dodge. Ji Meixian's hair was wildly flying, her jade face was full of frost, her graceful body was releasing killing intent, her pair of beautiful eyes were filled with anger, the killing intent in her eyes was extremely terrifying. Her every strike carried an extremely fierce killing intent. With 10 slashes, the green GRA's around her would all turn into dust, and the vast innate chi made people even more terrified. If it was an ordinary nirvana stage, even if it was 10 slashes, one of them would still be killed by her sword. Ji Meixian was furious to the extreme. Maybe it was because she was not calm enough, or maybe it was the first time someone had insulted her in such a way, causing her to feel extremely resentful, as if Chen Xiang had tainted her. Even if it was not, it was more like it. As the sword slashed down, the sword's body emitted a cold light, bringing along an invisible and vast innate chi, causing Chen Xiang to feel as if he was an ant facing the waves of the ocean. Ji Meixian's sword was very strong, but she still held back, because she had recovered a bit of her senses and realized that Chen Xiang had a treasure on him. If Chen Xiang died, maybe the storage magic treasure on his body would also be destroyed, and the gains wouldn't make up for the losses. The might of the White Sea Imperial Land's innate chi was as vast as the ocean. When used together with powerful sword techniques, its power was peerless. With a flash of green light, the green dragon demon-slain broadsword appeared in a flash. Chen Xiang used the most powerful dragon power, holding onto the divine blade tightly. In that moment, the cyan light exploded out of nowhere, chopping apart the swift sword that was thrusting towards him. When the swords and sabers clashed, the mountains shook and the earth shook. The collision produced a powerful formless energy. The clouds in the sky surged and lightning surged. Chen Xiang's speed was not slow, but his strength was not as good as Ji Meixian's. Although he was able to block the blade, his entire arm was still in pain from the impact, and blood was flowing out from his pores. If he did not block that sword attack, even if he managed to dodge it, he would still be injured by that strong sword energy. At that time, he would be even more deadly. "You can't beat her, this woman is very strong," Long Shui immediately said. After all, Ji Meixian's cultivation was much higher than Chen Xiang's. Shattered GRA's fluttered in the air. A large piece of the beautiful green GRA's sland had already been shattered into pieces by the shockwave from earlier. Of course, she knew that Chen Xiang only had a cultivation level lower than hers. If he was able to stop her, the result would be hard to say. Hand over your immortal blade and fire phoenix purple gold, and then kneel down and admit your wrongs to me. Otherwise, I will make you die a miserable death. Ji Meixian said coldly. She saw that Chen Xiang's hand was bleeding and knew that he would not be able to escape today. Of course, she was even more concerned about Chen Xiang's green dragon demon-slain broadsword. Just a moment ago, after one move, she knew that this blade was not ordinary. Although she used a sword, she would have an even higher position in the White Sea Imperial Land if she were to obtain this blade. Chen Xiang, who was originally smiling mischievously, became serious as well. He could escape, but he was extremely unwilling to do so. Little naughty dragon, lend me your power. I want to defeat this heavenly girl at all costs. Chen Xiang's heart sank as he replied.